There's my Boo Bear. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name's Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News. And I'm about ready for a bong hit. So if you guys are about ready for a bong hit, I'm going to heat up the bong here. Hi, everybody. I'm going to heat up the bong here in just a second. So, if you want to join me in a bong hit, please feel free to do so. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, this is my YouTube page, Mox News, and this is your Wake and Bake News at 7 p.m. I'm your host, Moxie. All right, so I'm gonna heat up the bong and do a bong hit, and then we will I have a clip for you. Well. There is currently a Joe Biden protest going on in downtown Seattle. So protesters are burning American flags and hi Jackie, and doing other such things. And protesting, they're writing graffiti. Apparently, it's like abolish this, abolish that. It says they keep making a big deal about this one graffiti that says abolish everything. Which reminds me that when I become president, I'm gonna legalize everything. Legalize everything, baby. Because that's what freedom is about. Is about, you making your choices to live your life the way you see fit. And understanding that if you choose some kind of negative road, if you choose the low road, there are repercussions to the low road. If you choose the high road, there are repercussions to the high road. And you have to live with you. So, if anybody wants to call, this is a live call-in show. I have numerous videos for you tonight. So, I'm gonna try and get through them all. We're gonna have a bong hit. We're gonna watch a little video. We're gonna watch a protest in downtown Seattle. I'm burning this right here, in case anybody's wondering. Gooey, ooey, gooey, gooey. Let's see. In downtown Seattle, there is a protest going on. If anybody wants to call to talk about it, it's a Joe Biden protest, from what I understand, among other things. So I thought we'd have a quick puff, and then we'd look at the protest going on in downtown Seattle, the anti-Biden protest, and then I have a whole bunch more videos for you guys. Okay, but it's a call-in show. Again, this is how we sidestep the over censorship of YouTube. This is how we sidestep, your comments being censored by keyboard cowboys. Simply by using your voice. We use the telephone lines. We'll go old school on their ass. We'll go old school on their lame asses. Right? We'll use the wired connection. Hey. And we will talk like people are meant to do, not, oh, well, that's not acceptable speech, so they can't talk to each other anymore. You're not allowed to talk on this platform anymore. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Follow me and do exactly as you see. Okay, you're right, Jackie. Those are nice fireworks. But I bet they spent a lot of taxpayer dollars on those fireworks. They better be nice. Let's see. I'm gonna check with you in just a second here. I have video again of a protest going on downtown Seattle. They're burning American flags and writing graffiti saying abolish everything and so on and so forth. All right. So, do you have a call? Okay. Um, okay, so we'll get to that video in just a sec. Hello, caller.
Stand by. It didn't transfer. I'll call you back. I thought I had it through. Just a minute.
We'll try again. See if that works. Hello, caller.
Hey, my dude, it's Daniel here from Florida. Just wanted to call in, send you some love. Love what you're doing. Please continue doing it. And I just wanted to ask you something. I've been watching a lot of lefty YouTubers and progressives, and I've also been watching the people that are talking about Bitcoin and how Bitcoin could help the society to move outside of like the control of bankers and like the way capitalism has, crony capitalism has taken over the country. So I was wondering if you thought there would be any value of like these two groups coming together, or if you have any opinion regarding Bitcoin and
Well,
like
I
helping
think
people.
I think that the second Bitcoin starts to put the banks out of business, that Bitcoin will become illegal in the United States. So that's something to keep in consideration. If they can make it illegal, they will do their best to do so. Um, I don't know. You know, Bitcoin, Bitcoin is crazy. You know, it's one of those things. I'm not about making money at all. I know it's weird in a capitalist society to say that. I just can't care, and it's to the point of where. If you're heavily invested in Bitcoin, then like every fucking 15 seconds you're checking the Bitcoin price, right? I can't do that all day long. That just drive me insane. I'd rather just not make money and not think about it and just live off of whatever there is to live off. I don't. I can't make it a priority for me at all. That being said, you know. It'd be nice not to worry about it, and I think that that's partially what it is. Is that if I had one wish, really, it would be that I didn't have to worry about. I didn't have any money worries at all. And I think that the easiest way to do that for a poor person like myself is just not to give a fuck. I just don't care anymore. I could really. I can't. It's like I haven't gotten any donations. You say you love my work, right? I didn't get any donations last week. I haven't gotten any donations this week, and I'm still out here every day doing this thing that I do because it's the right thing to do. It's what I know how to do. And if it was about money, if I was oh, I gotta make money, all I care about is making money, then I would have given this up a long time ago.
Thanks a lot, and I'll make sure to donate right after this. I definitely want you to continue doing this. Would you allow me to just give a little counter argument to the criticism of Bitcoin?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the way I would see it is, if you have Bitcoin, if you're a trader, yeah, you're worried all the time if you need to sell or not sell. But if you buy into the vision of Bitcoin, it means that then you just hold the Bitcoin and you're not worried about if it changed 1 minute, 1 day, or the next. You're just holding it.
Yeah.
And it's preserving your value. As opposed to you having dollars and they're diluting away, or like you can buy less and less with a minimum wage and so on and so forth.
That makes a lot of sense, dude. I hear what you're saying. If you're in it for a long-term thing, I think that it seems like a pretty good investment, especially if you got into it. I don't know. Elon Musk said it's going to go to 100,000, and he seems to be right about an awful lot of things, so there's still time to triple your money at least,
Yeah, I'm seeing it like that as well, like tripling your money, but I'm also seeing it most importantly, like just breaking away from the control of like people that can just print unlimited money and like get the difference between the richest people and the poorest people like further and further apart.
And I love that idea. I love that perspective of yours. Is that that Bitcoin is that the dollar every day is becoming less and less in value, and Bitcoin is kind of staying steady or holding its own or going up. So and all the other things go along with it, like you said, the banking and all of that. I love that the banks have fucked the people so hard for so long. It'd be really nice to get a little bit revenge on them.
Definitely. I think those two, the way we think as progressives and the way some Bitcoin people think, I think it could help each other. But I appreciate the time, man.
Hey, what's your name? What's your name?
My name's Daniel.
Daniel, it's good to hear from you, bro. Please call back anytime, okay?
Definitely. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Have a good day. Good night.
Talk to you soon, I hope. Stay cool. We'll get through it.
Stay cool. Bye.
All right, so that was very nice to hear from Daniel. And if anybody else wants to call, the number's right there on the screen. It's 805-669-6397. This is a live call-in show. Again, the point of the show is to hear your voices. I don't need to hear my voice, and it's nice. It's very nice that some of you actually want to hear my voice, and it's a big part of why I continue to do this, even though there's no donations or whatever. A big part of why I continue to do it is that you guys make it seem as if my voice makes a difference in your lives, and that's a really nice thing to know that that I'm making a difference for somebody somewhere, Besides the Boo Bear. Hey, Boo Bear. How's my beautiful baby? Mm-hmm. Hey, look at this. Look at this. What is this right here? You're such a mean old Boo Bear. He is such a mean old Boo Bear. Okay, so I will go ahead and play protest in downtown. Joe Biden protest in downtown Seattle, happening right now as we speak. I figured you guys would want to know about that. So if you want to call, go ahead and feel free to call. The operators are standing by, and we'll check out this protest, and I'll be right back.
Breaking now as we come on the air tonight, a crowd of protesters is now marching through the streets of Seattle. They gathered earlier at Occidental Park in downtown Seattle.
Take a look at this video. In the last hour, Air 4 captured the moment they lit an American flag on fire in the middle of the intersection. Let's get right to KOMO's Joel Marino tonight.
He is live with the group who is calling for ICE to be abolished, among other things. Joel?
Yeah, Mary and Eric, let's take a look over here to the right. Down along that building is where the protesters have gone. You can see the line of bicycle officers. There's many patrol officers down over here. And the police just recently ordered this crowd to disperse. They said that this is an unlawful assembly. And they also warned the crowd that they would be using potentially less than lethal munitions. And so I have someone here that's yelling at us right now. But we have seen a lot of property destruction and violence since this group went on the move about 5 o'clock tonight. From Occidental Park. Buildings being tagged, fires being set, windows smashed. They seem to be against everything. Some of the graffiti includes abolish everything. Let's go to some video that we took earlier as we were following this group through town. They've been going up and down through downtown Seattle with police really only joining them about half an hour into the march. And again, there were a number of flags that were burned. We saw windows being smashed, parking meters being smashed, and we even actually saw some assaults. There was rocks being thrown at people that were trying to confront the group. We actually never talked to any of the protesters because right away they were interfering with another news crew's live shot, and we could tell that it was just trouble. So if we can come back here live now, we've got a number of police cars that are repositioning. This group has just taken a footpath between the buildings. They've actually been using this tactic. They went into Freeway Park, which, if you're familiar with, has a lot of passageways and different ways to exit the park, and they were able to get away from the police initially by doing that. and then they kind of came out and rejoined. There actually could be a second group marching around because the 40 or so people we saw just now is much smaller than the group that we saw earlier. It's probably at least 60 people, but I think they've been losing some numbers because they've had to disperse somewhat when police finally moved in after about a half hour of marching. So we're going to try to catch up with them again, but pretty elusive group. They're on foot and moving quickly, smashing things as they go. And it's hard to say if they're really against immigration. They've been chanting Black Lives Matter, or they say that they want to abolish ICE. We've seen some of those tags, but it seems like they are just trying to break things and stop traffic. They've been putting barricades in front of cars so that they can't go down the roads, throwing scooters and trash cans and things like that into the way of people that are just trying to make their way through downtown Seattle. Pretty volatile group, so we're going to try to catch up and keep a safe distance and see if there's anything else that goes on. But again, police did order this crowd to disperse, warn them that they could be using less than lethal munitions against them because of the violence and property destruction that had occurred. And so we'll see how soon police decide to move in, or if they just continue to let this march continue on. Reporting live, Joel Marino, KOMO News.
All right, Joel, thank you. Another destructive protest in downtown Seattle. Let's bring in law enforcement expert Jim Fuda. He's director for Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound.
Jim, tell us what you make of these protests so far that are happening in downtown Seattle tonight. Specifically, how are police trying to maintain control? It looked like early on they were kind of keeping their distance.
Well, the sad thing is that on a day of today for our country, a time of hope, that these people want their 15 minutes of fame, a small group like this. But mark my words that SPD is in that crowd. They know who the agitators are, and if it comes time to make an arrest, they will.
Jim, we saw them earlier in the last hours, setting fire to an American flag right in the middle of an intersection. Now, because of this ongoing pandemic, we're not seeing the usual amount of cars, people, traffic that could add to the danger of the situation. But I think a lot of people at home are wondering, why are they allowed to carry on like this, to even get this far?
Well, it gets to the point of the de-escalation. If they go in and try to make an arrest with the crowd, what is there, 100, 120 there, is that it could escalate things. So they are following, they're seeing what they're up to. You know, this has been going on for a while now, and you can see as it gets darker, it starts to escalate. So I'm just hoping that it disperses peacefully. There may be tear gas, and they may have to disperse it that way, but believe me, with all we've been through this last 8 months, is that SPD knows what they're doing with this.
That they can and will make arrests if need be. But talk about, if you would, the sort of conundrum that we've faced in this city for months now, and that is that even when they do make arrests, these people are held for just a couple of hours or a day at the most. They're right back out there and really essentially emboldened to go back and do it again.
Well, let's go back, as long as you say that, let's go back to our council and let's go back to our judicial system in the city. Is that that's the part that is breaking down for us.
All right, Jim, thank you so much for your perspective. Always appreciated. As far as what's happening tonight and who this crowd appears to be, I know our Joel Marino live in downtown Seattle following this group from a safe distance, of course, to see what exactly they're trying to protest. And among the things that you've heard, abolish ICE. But if you go on social media, which is one of the tools that these groups use to get more people to join them, a lot of them claiming to be Antifa, a lot of them claiming to be anti former President Trump, anti-current President Biden, claiming that they will be ungovernable. And right now we've got a group of more than 100 walking through downtown Seattle, causing some property damage.
It's really striking, isn't it, Mary? And I'm sure everyone will agree. agree this has been such a day of optimism and hope for our country. And then that image to see the American flag in the middle of that intersection in our city burning is a hard thing to stomach. It's a hard thing to look at. And it's a hard thing to see this group of people, some of them marauders, you know, walking through the streets of Seattle, breaking things, as Joel was telling us, breaking windows, smashing storefronts, rocks being thrown, parking meters destroyed, blocking cars, all of those things. It's a hard thing to stomach on this day that started out so optimistically in our nation's capital.
And if you are wondering why they are allowed to do this or the lack of police involvement, you just heard from Jim Fuda, an expert on law enforcement. The focus now here, at least in downtown Seattle, is de-escalation to try and calm, I guess, the atmosphere. This is not live video. If you're just tuning in, this is video that was captured by Air 4 about an hour ago when the group initially started out their march. And you can see right there in the middle of that intersection in downtown Seattle, holding up bus traffic as well as several commuter vehicles. They set an American flag on fire. And after this occurred, the group of approximately 100 to 200 people, all dressed in black, their faces covered, began marching down the streets. And as Eric mentioned, as well as reporters on the ground, causing property damage, breaking windows, and trying to knock over parking meters, among other things.
I want to bring in Preston now. Preston, Joel told us about graffiti on the ground there that says abolish everything. What are you hearing and seeing about what's going on?
You know, we've been seeing this play out throughout the day here in Seattle and in Portland as well. And it really kind of started out as this abolish ICE kind of protest, which it still is. But it's also called J20. It's a demonstration against Biden inauguration. It's against police and for the rights of indigenous peoples. And that's what they're marching for now. This is a live look over downtown Seattle as this taking place. Of course, as Mary was saying on social media, especially if you go on Twitter right now, there are a lot of independent journalists, Como as well, all of us here really following this. And they've been following this throughout the day, especially the flyers, like Mary was saying. This is a place where these anarchists and different groups will put out their flyers, put out their messages as to what they're preparing to do. Twitter lets them keep them on there, and then these things happen, and then this leads to property damages we've been seeing. Now, we've been seeing different places get smashed up, windows being kicked in, punched in, graffiti in a lot of different places. An Amazon Go store was hit up a short time ago, and you can see what this looks like here. This is just continuing throughout the evening here. Come back out to me live here on Live 23. I'm going to show you what we're looking at live. I'm also going to show you a video from someone who's in town here that's covering these protests and has been covering these kinds of protests for some time now. This is Brendan Gutenschwager. He's in town. He's from Wisconsin. He was there the night Kyle Rittenhouse was involved in that shooting following the shooting of Jacob Blake. He travels around the country to document these different kinds of situations, and he's out there tonight doing this. This was as police were arriving on scene after multiple businesses had been smashed up, as this is when they first got on scene. Now, again, we've been reporting on this since around 4 o'clock, 4:30, and throughout the 5 o'clock newscast. I'm going to take you back up to Air 4 now. This is a live look at Air 4. Let's bring Air 4 back in if we could here. I'm trying to take control of the video we're looking at. Of course, this is Seattle Police you're looking at, but this again now, we're looking live from Air 4. We're now starting to see arrests take place. Some of the Seattle bike officers taking down some of these anarchists that have been walking through the area. It's unclear what happened just now, what led to these arrests, but clearly they were moving in, and at one point they were basically kind of taking a kind of wait-and-see approach, keeping their distance. We're also watching another ground shot here, XC16. Guys, if you could route that into a live source for me, that would be great. If anybody can hear me down there. We're seeing police officers ride in on different motorcycles with sidecars as well. I'll wait till that comes up and I can possibly bring that to you live once I know what channel that's on. But we're looking right now, Air 4 live over the scene downtown Seattle. Finally, some of these bike officers are making these arrests as they moved in. We've also got a ground crew on the scene, and I'm keeping my eye on that as well as I'm watching this live coverage from Air 4 over this scene as this has kind of come to a halt. You can see some of them still marching down the road there and others kind of staying behind. You've got police there. You've got the green little lights on their helmets so they can identify each other. This is a live look at the ground right now. Not much is happening, but this might be getting closer to where this protest, where the march is taking place. You can see some of the lights. This is our ground crew that's walking closer to this, where you can see the back end of these SUVs here where this protest is taking place. One more live look over downtown. We see a lot of buildings. Back out live to the ground here. We're going to keep following this, bringing you the very latest right here on Como News.
All right, we're going to go back out to Air 4 one more time here to get another look at exactly what is happening in downtown Seattle. Again, a group of what appears to be maybe 100 protesters, so-called protesters, some of them anarchists, Antifa members, anti-police, abolish ICE, anti-Biden inauguration, you name it. As Joel Marino mentioned, there's a graffiti that says abolish everything. So no one's quite certain exactly what they want, but they're marauding through downtown, breaking things, smashing windows, throwing rocks, and those sort of things. We're going to stay on top of this for the rest of this show.
These are not peaceful protesters, and judging by the way it looks from Air 4, it looks like police are now starting to round some people up, and you can see they're slowly moving their cruisers down the street, pushing the group forward, and we might be seeing the beginning of the end of this particular protest in downtown Seattle. We'll keep a close eye on it. If anything new develops, we'll of course let you know during the newscast.
Oh, it's so sad to see this on such a beautiful day of celebration and hope in our nation. It's so sad to see freedom of expression demanding that our representative government hear our voices. It's so sad that people do that. How sad is that? It's just horrible. It's just I gotta have another bong hit. I thought it was like really interesting the way they kept highlighting that they sprayed graffiti that said abolish everything. Fuck yeah, my kind of people, abolish everything. Hello, caller.
Luke, I am your father. Luke. Can you hear me, Luke? Luke, I am your father. Luke, I hear bubbles, Luke. Are you smoking the bong again, Luke? The force is strong, Luke. The force is strong, Luke. Feel the power of the Dark Dragon.
Ooh, the Dark Dragon. Nice.
That's the only... I thought you were ignoring me, but I guess you're just hitting the bong, huh?
Yeah, taking a puff, man. It's one of those days.
Yeah, I was so filled with hope until I saw all the fucking terrorists in Seattle, man. It's like, oh, finally Joe Biden is here to save us. And then the fucking terrorists come again. It's like,
hey.
What do they want, Mike? What do they want?
They want. I love that these guys are protesting these black bloc guys, man. They're just like, fuck everything, abolish everything, fuck your goddamn rules, fuck the police. Yeah, I'm talking to you, piggy. Fuck the police. I love those guys.
Yeah, I love them too. They're just. They're the last vestige of hope in the American dream. It's like, let's go burn some trash cans and make people know we're here.
It's basically, exactly what I'm saying. Say hello to the new boss, same as the old boss.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Nothing changes on New Year's. Somebody said that the other day. Nothing changes on New Year's Day. This is. There's nothing different, and I'll tell you why. Because Donald Trump didn't pardon Julian Assange, and Joe Biden. I don't need seeds. I got enough seeds for the rest of my life. Don't worry about it.
Okay, because I can't even afford a stamp, Mike.
Joe Biden is not going to pardon Julian Assange. If Nancy Pelosi was to become president, she's not going to pardon Julian Assange. Kamala Harris is not going to pardon Julian Assange. Barack Obama did not pardon Julian Assange. They're all the fucking same. Okay? Julian Assange is a real fucking hero. Okay? Absolutely. Put his neck on the line for all of us. Not for him, for all of us. So that we could know the truth. And
the United States is appealing the British court decision. So they're gonna they won't let him go. If they deport him to Australia, then Australia will have to deal with the United States, and Australia is even more strict than England. So it's like, what the fuck, man? Let's just torture the guy till he dies. Might as well just put a bunch of Ebola in his room, and then take some pictures as he bleeds out of his eyes. Julian Assange dead by murder hornets. The traitor and terrorist, Julian Assange. Wasn't it Obama called him a high-tech terrorist? That was Obama, huh?
I'm not sure. I just know that they're all the same, dude. There isn't a difference here. We're not, and this is not a new message for me. Okay, I'm telling you guys, they're the same. They're just talking to different groups of people. That's all there is to it. They're exactly the same. Donald Trump, I guess the big difference is Joe Biden's not going to be tweeting at midnight, is he? Well, who the fuck is tweets at midnight? Who does that be advantage for? Because Donald Trump's not tweeting at midnight to protect the American people. Donald Trump is tweeting at midnight to go, look how unfair everything is to me. The billionaire with the supermodel wife. Yeah. It's never there, and that's how they're the same. They're not about you. They're not about the American people. They're not about the working class. Donald Trump didn't start a multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure project. Joe Biden's not going to start really, there needs to be immediately a $10 trillion infrastructure project started. And that's just like to get it started. And we should be looking at a 22nd century infrastructure. And Joe Biden, that's not on Joe Biden's radar anywhere. And you know why? Because none of the rich people around Joe Biden have whispered that in his ear to say, this is what we need to be working on, Joe. You know why? Because the rich people don't want a 22nd century infrastructure, because that'll just cost them money. And they don't care about the future. They care about how much money they made today.
Yeah, kick the can down the road. Somebody else will get it and kick it down the road again, and then we'll all be slaves by the year 2057. The slave class. There's no mobility in the slave class. Like no property, no private property. You'll own nothing, and you'll be happy because they'll be spraying the skies with lithium. Everyone will be happy, and if they don't like you, the smart dust will infect you with fucking Ebola, and your microchip will go off, and your brain will pop. And they'll just haul you away. It'll be Soylent Green, and then, eat the green goo, slave class, eat the green glue. I mean, all those sci-fi movies we know of, V for Vendetta, Soylent Green, The Island, they're all potential futures. So that, it's not sci-fi anymore. It's coming.
It's just disgusting. V for Vendetta is where we're at. Right. It's not the future. That's where we are right now, and it's disgusting that we don't have a brighter future than that. These people, that Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they're all about, we need to make a future for the ones coming up behind us. How is a fucking infrastructure project not on their fucking radar then? If we're gonna leave something for the people coming behind us, number one thing, we build this fucking state-of-the-art infrastructure, and we're ready to take care of business more than anybody else on the planet. That's all there is to it. That's not even a discussion. They don't care about you. They don't care about your children. They don't care about the future. They care about them.
Yeah, it was 30 years ago or 25 years ago, they started the Superfund projects to clean up all the radiation and pollution and stuff, and they wasted 3/4 of the money, and they still got another 25 years to go before they get anything cleaned up. So they don't care. We're not one with nature. We're the lords of nature, and we can kill Mother Earth if we want, and you guys don't matter because you have brown skin or you have yellow skin, and don't insult my gender. I'm a chartreuse penguin.
You don't matter because you don't have money. If you have money, it doesn't matter what color your skin is. The reason you don't matter is because you don't have money. It's that easy, and anyone should be able to figure that out.
Well, unless they, right now we're in the middle of a big information purge and information suppression and a giant saturation propaganda. And I see Joe Biden, he's talking so calm, and I want to give hope to America. And Kamala Harris is saying, oh, everything's going to be okay now that the calm people are in, and the big bad wolf has gone away, and we can come together in unity, and as long as you serve us and you give us your money and you don't ask for decent living wages and you don't attack the insurmountable hall of the Ministry of Truth, it's like, fuck. I didn't even see the inauguration. Did you see it today?
No.
Okay, because I figured I wouldn't be missing nothing but a parade of clowns, so I didn't see, I don't even know if the troops were in the camera. They probably wouldn't even include the troops in a camera shot,
I honestly don't know. I didn't watch. This is this thing where it's this disgusting, like we have to have the military flooding the streets in order to do a transition of the new president. And why? How can that possibly be in America? Because of right-wing extremists? I don't think so.
Yeah, the last 2-3 days I've heard white supremacists, right-wing extremists.
Those people in downtown Seattle aren't fucking right-wing extremists, and they're not white supremacists either.
Yeah, well, we can ignore those guys because they've been here a while and they don't count. It's
everybody protests in Seattle, so
so
that's what they do.
I mean, it's more of the same. We really got to kind of crack. They used to say you got to crack the glass ceiling, so you can get up above and earn a big thing. And we got to crack the information ceiling. We got to get free speech back on
the priority list. The priority list. It needs to be a priority. It needs to be like one of the foundations of our existence needs to be freedom of speech. Because without it,
everybody knew that in 1776. That's why it's the First Amendment. Because everything comes from the ability to communicate. If you can't communicate your ideas, then you're just going to say the British aren't coming, or you guys don't need guns, or it's the white supremacists, or it's the New Age people are attacking the Capitol.
There's nothing we can do.
Right, nothing we can do. So never mind the bullshit and just go back to work if you can. We'll give you $1,400. We're all going to get $1,400 real soon.
Not all of us.
Well, some of us. I'm totally
Wilco still hasn't got his $1,400 from the first one.
Well, he should have filed his fucking taxes.
I don't know if that's what it is or not, but he's not the only one.
Well, I didn't file my taxes for 10 years, so I made up a bunch of numbers, and I filed my taxes, and I got my check. It was simple as that.
Cool.
What
could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, I mean, I established contact with our fearless leader, the Internal Revenue Service.
The Great Satan! I'm sorry, go ahead.
Satan, yeah.
The Great Satan, get it right, the Great Satan. There's the little Satan and the Great Satan.
Give me my check. And
I love the Great Satan! Give me money! I love the Great Satan! Give me money!
So what's the government and the Great Satan doing to us all the time?
The government and the Great Satan are the same thing.
They're gaming us. They're gaming us. So I say, game the fucking system. That's my, when you're in
what can possibly go wrong in a police state when you're gaming the system?
When you're in an ocean filled with pirates, you got to be a pirate. That's the name of the game. That's what Wilco should have done. He should have just filed his taxes. I only make $6 a year, and he would have got $1,200. That's that simple. I did it, you know. Nobody's coming after me.
Not yet, as far as you know.
I already been through that, man. I already been through that. I've been.
Well, good. Then you're prepared when they come back.
Well, they send you a letter. Then you send them back a letter.
I don't send back letters. Fuck that. I never got a letter. What are you talking about, a letter? I don't know anything about a letter.
Yeah, that's when they come for you, dude.
Yeah.
Don't respond
Let
to
them come. Let them come for me. Come for me now, you bitches. I dare you.
They're going to come into your house.
You come. Go ahead.
Take your $1 million grow lights.
Yeah.
Whose computer is this?
Dude, you know how many computers are in this house, dude? Craig just bought 25 laptops. That's just what he just bought in the last week.
Yeah, what's he going to do with those?
What's that? Oh, he's
resell
a very busy man.
Yeah, but 25, that means he's going to resell them.
They're already resold.
Oh, he bought them and then he sold them?
I think they were resold before he bought them, probably.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't need a laptop. I need a cell phone. I think I might join the 20th century and might break down and get myself a cell phone. Maybe this year, 2021, seems like the right time for me to learn how to operate one of those handheld mind control devices that everybody has.
I might get one. They might give me one for free, but I'm not. It's not like, you know. The one. It was really weird. Is you can check all the records and you cannot find my name on a cell phone. You know, linked to a cell phone. That's never happened. I've never bought a cell phone. Never bought like a throwaway phone at the fucking 5 and dime or whatever. Never had. I've had a couple of them. I have a real nice one sitting on the desk downstairs. But I've never.
There are advantages. You can take video.
Oh, sure. I remember when the iPhone first came out, I remember the television commercials, and the television commercials was, take HD video, and I was like, holy shit, man! Have a little tiny thing that big and be able to take HD video everywhere I'm at. Fuck, I need one of those so bad. Be able to upload it. Oh my god, I need it. I gotta have it. But it's just, I'm so glad I never got. And then we see the people, who got those first iPhones, and they were getting bills like $2,500 for their fucking internet use and shit. Remember that?
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. Fuck. And then it costs $1,000 to get a new phone, and plus the plan.
Yeah.
It's just ludicrous. I mean, they got Habib in North Africa has a phone. I have a load of corn coming your way. I'll be there in 3 days. It's like, and here I am in California, high-tech California, don't even know how to operate a cell phone. It's like, wow. Everywhere I look, every country, everybody's carrying a phone. So...
And you're feeling left out, is that it?
No, I'm just watching my world, and I see that people, especially in Asia, everyone has a phone in Asia.
Especially in America, dude. Everyone in America has a fucking phone. I watch people walking their dogs and walking their children, and they have earbuds in, and they're walking their children, and their kids are talking to them, and they got earbuds, and they can't even fucking hear them. Yeah. You know how I know? Because I'll say, hey, what a beautiful day. And they'll pull their earbud out so they can hear what it is I said. But they're completely ignoring their fucking children. It's insane.
I had a friend die of brain cancer because she was on her fucking phone all the time. That was 2003, I think. 2003. And so, if you hold that receiver, that antenna, right up next to your fucking temple, you're going to get a glioblastoma. And
I don't know. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I don't know anything about it. All I know is that I haven't ever had like a phone attached to my name, and it's not that it's bad or anything. It's just you know that they're just keeping track of everywhere you go and every stop you make, and you know, I mean, everything you look at, every picture you take. I keep talking about this. They're collecting every picture your 12-year-old daughter takes with her cell phone, regardless if she sends it anywhere or not. It's disgusting what's happening. I don't want anything to do with that, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think I've, other than Facebook Messenger, I don't think my face has ever been on the internet. Nobody knows what I look like, and I have no photos.
Oh, I see. The thing is, I have giant files with my name on them. The Vatican has one that's about 18 to 2 feet thick, but that's fine. I just don't want them tracking my every fucking step. I don't want them accumulating this data to figure out, get inside my head and shit, I mean, because it's real obvious who I am. You don't need all this inside information about who I am. I made it real clear, through my messages. I just don't want them up my ass like that, so.
Before the internet came along, the populations of every country got their news from the radio, the newspapers, and the TV, but mostly the TV since the early 50s. It was mostly the TV.
And word of mouth, and word of mouth.
And word of mouth, but how reliable is that? It's like, you might as well talk to a dog. A dog will tell you the truth. But humans, like, Josie killed her husband. It's like fucking Josie went to Vegas with her husband and had a good time. But Josie killed her husband. It's like gossip, gossip, gossip. Word of mouth is worthless unless you're talking to an intelligent person. But
you ever know anybody named Josie?
I think I did. One chick I knew named Josie.
I don't think I ever knew anybody named Josie.
But anyways, the population was mind controlled by the controlled media, radio. Back in the day, public radio was pretty good. Not perfect, but pretty good. Today, the government controls PBS and public radio and stuff, so it's worthless. But now everybody's on the internet, and so that's the reason there's a crackdown on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and Google, is because they know if we, the population, get good, clear, honest information, then we're going to basically overthrow our governments, and that's why Julian Assange is sitting in prison right now, because he found a way to fuck the government pretty good in the ass, and they didn't like it, and they're out for blood, man. It's like, we can't let this guy go.
Yeah.
He exposed our
shit, they have to make an example of him so that other people are, living in fear of the idea of being
and
like
where
him.
are the journalists? Where's the New York Times? Where's Le Monde? Where's the Guardian? Nowhere to be seen. It's like they put out the same fucking stuff he put out. Even before he put it out, he waited for them to put it out. Le Monde, the Guardian, the German paper, New York Times, and they should have come. If they actually cared about journalism or truth, they should have come to his aid, at least.
Or freedom of the press, or freedom of the press at all. Yeah.
Even the press doesn't believe in the freedom of the press.
Right. They're not. That's not what they're about at all. There is no freedom of the press, and any freedom, any freedom is dangerous. That's why you're a potential enemy combatant, potential terrorist, is because you have freedom, and that's why we have to chip away at it every single day. Because the more freedom you have, the more dangerous you are. That's how the people.
I'm such a fucking intimidating person, because I'm so fucking free. People just freeze in their tracks, and it's like they've seen a wild animal for the first time in their life. It's like, oh my God, he's not like us.
Right.
Yeah, you're damn right. I'm not like you.
Right. That's the way that the people, the so-called House of Representatives, views the protesters who occupied the. Oh my God, they're not anything. They're a bunch of animals. Look at all this. And it's entirely that they're just threatened by their freedom. and the freedom that those people believed that they had, which clearly doesn't exist for any of us anymore.
But it's still on the horizon. We can still break this machine if we get out of our egos and get away from our social media personas. You know, it's like, oh, I'm the hip guy, I'm the cool chick, I'm so sexy, I'm the smart commentator, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the intellectual commentator. It's like if we get away from our egos and just talk straight truth, including cuss words, and find a way to do that on a mass scale, we'll beat their fucking asses. So the crackdown has been going on for what, 10 years or more, 5 years seriously, and 2 years radically, and now it's in overdrive. So there's going to be a pushback against anti-speech, because we're in the age of anti-speech.
Right.
And that's the silver lining to this dark cloud, is that, you know, people really need to...
That's what I keep explaining to the people that are like, oh, they're just going to use this. Right. That's exactly what we need them to do. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you know, it's Newton's, second law of physics or third law of physics, you know, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. And so their extreme action just recently, you know, basically when they eliminated the President of the United States from Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, it's like, okay, it's on. That was like the last fucking straw. We know that, you know, the Wizard of Oz is behind the fucking curtain, and we're going to pull back that curtain and say, fuck you. We're going to make him eat the Constitution. And fucking Toto's going to...
Well, let me look at. Let me just say, and this is how, again, Trump is no different from Biden, no different from Obama, no different from any of the other people that say hello to the new boss, same as the old boss. Because when he was censored by Twitter, when he was censored by Facebook, he still had all the power. And he could have gone, oh, is that how you think you're going to go God mode on me? Let me show you what God mode is. And sign an executive order that says Facebook and Twitter are officially blocked in the United States until January 21. And there's nothing Joe Biden couldn't have done about it until then. You know, he could have done that to show him, you know, you want to play God mode? Let me show you what God mode is, motherfuckers. And instead of doing that, he just rolled over and showed his belly. And you know why? You know why? Because he's worried about his business interest. Not because
he's worried about his reputation.
He's worried about his fucking business interest. That's why. Because all these people are like, we're not doing business with him anymore. And it's like, he's a pariah now. So he's worried about his business interest, which is all he's ever really worried about. And this is what bothers me again, the way they're the same is that, not that Joe Biden's going to be tweeting at midnight at 3:00 in the morning. The way they're the same is that they don't care about the people. None of them care about the people,
They sure are putting on a good show, though. It's like, oh, man, this is like fucking... this is like a soap opera with politicians, and they're all so nice, and they peel their skin off in the back room, and you got reptilians underneath.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying all along. It's what I'm saying when I say they're just talking to different suckers. They peel their skin off in the back room, and they're all the same underneath. But out in front, they're like, oh no, we're this way, and the other one's like, oh no, we're this way. And why? Because they know that you're desperate for someone that makes sense to you, because all these people are fucking pieces of shit, and they seem like they're taking advantage of, and you're looking everywhere to be able to believe in a government that you've been trained and led to believe in your entire life from the time you're little. Patriotism and Hoorah America and the red, white, and blue and the stars and stripes. It's you want that desperately. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. That means you're a good person who wants your government, your country to be this again, shiny beacon on the hill that we've all heard about for so long, but instead we get shit on. And but there's a lot of us who still buy into it, who still, like, when I say just talking to different suckers and they get in the back room and they peel off their skin and they're all the same, they're just talking to different suckers. I'm not trying to be mean to you guys. I'm trying to open your eyes. I'm trying to put it in words that are easy to understand. That's how they view you, and they're just throwing out things. That Henry Rollins song, Liar? He says, he's talking about how everything in the world is so messed up, and then you meet me, and everything I say is everything you've ever wanted to hear. You know that song? I love that song. But I'm a liar! A liar! A liar! He's all dressed up in a Superman suit. I love that song.
Well, I'm a creep and I'm a weirdo, man. I don't listen to Henry Rollins.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah. So, but you're not the first guy I've heard that said that Trump rolled over and showed his belly. That's the big talk right now, because he could have busted if he was actually Andrew Jackson, Stonewall Jackson, he could have busted the motherfucker wide open, and he was coming real close. At least his followers were coming real close, but he did roll over. He showed his belly, and because he wants to be, it's like, oh, they were talking so bad about me, and I can't be the terrorist president. Look, they're calling me a terrorist. I have to show some dignity. Melania, show some dignity.
Yeah,
like,
right. Right. I mean, and it's not me. It's not me who's despised Donald Trump from the first moment that I ever laid eyes on him. It's Alex Jones, who's fucking done everything he can to show support to Donald Trump, and this is the greatest president we ever had. He's saying exactly the same thing I'm telling you guys.
Oh, he's saying that right now, yeah?
He's absolutely, he's saying,
Okay.
he's saying Donald Trump fucking gave in to all the powers, all these shitty powers that he should be standing up against. He just fucking, exactly what I'm saying.
In every circumstance in life, including politics, you have to be willing to be hated in order to really get the shit done. Like, I think Roosevelt was hated because he put in the great, what do you call it, all the things he did, Social Security, and, got everybody out of the Depression. I forget the name for his program, the New Deal. He brought in the New Deal. The industrialists hated him. Chris could probably speak to that better than me. But
he's on hold, waiting. By
cool.
Yeah.
So, I think that's an important point, that everybody, including the presidents, whoever got something done, had to be willing to fight, and be hated. And Trump, because he has NPD, his number one goal is to be liked. I'm the nice guy. Look how nice I am. I have this wife, and I have a gold.
Well, the thing is, that when you're doing the right thing, when you know in your heart and in your mind that you're doing the right thing, then it doesn't matter if you're hated, because you're doing the right thing, and that's the only thing really to do.
To be hated. I'm a very hated person. After a while, you get used to it. That's the difference. You get used to it.
It's just, again, I think that if you feel in your heart that you're doing the right thing, it just doesn't matter. It's just not an important thing at all. If somebody,
if you have a belief system that is more powerful than the social backlash, then you're good to go. But if you cave in to the social backlash on any issue, no matter who you are, a janitor or a president, you're gonna cave, because maybe you don't believe in your cause so much. It's only the people, the hardcore people who believe in their cause, who are willing to go up against massive backlash and criticism, and he's terrorist.
It's like with my mom. My mom always hated marijuana, and I never hid it from her. I was always like, look, there's nothing wrong with this. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this substance, and she always just despised it, and but I never pretended or like tried to lie about who I was, because I knew I was doing the right thing. And I knew that she loved me anyways, you know, regardless of the fact that she hated this, that she was programmed to believe that this was such a bad, horrible thing, you know.
Right, yeah. My sisters are still that way. It's like, I tell them, I don't care what they say. I don't take drugs. I smoke cigarettes, I drink coffee, and I smoke weed. That's not, you know, the cigarettes is a drug, okay? Coffee and weed is not a drug.
Yeah.
But I used to come home stoned and sleeping in my bed, you know, at 15, and my mom would go through my pockets. I have 2 lids in my both pockets, one in each pocket, and she would take them out and put them on my desk and go do my laundry, you know.
Nice.
She would give my weed back to me. So she didn't hate it, but I think, you know, if things had been different, I could have probably got my mom to smoke weed with me because she was already a smoker.
Right.
So,
right. She sounds like a good woman.
She was. She was like a supermodel too. She was beautiful.
Right on.
Yeah, and I really loved my mom, and every now and then I miss her, and it's been a lot of years since she died, but yeah, I mean, you know, cool people are cool no matter what century or decade they live in. It's like you either get along with people and you try to be a good person, or you make all kinds of trouble and call yourself a good person when you're really just a rat-fink reptilian. You know?
A lot of people like to pretend and virtue signal that they're good people. But it's like, you know, I watch these kung fu movies all day. If I watch entertainment, not all day, but if I'm watching something for entertainment, that's basically my go-to. If it's not cartoons, and in the kung fu movies, there's always these like little sayings like Confucius says, you know, but they don't ever say Confucius says. But like one of them that stuck with me is like the virtuous man is undefeatable. You know,
right, yeah.
And the reason that is because even if you are defeated, even if you're slashed down, you were slashed down doing what was right. You know, I mean, and you can't be better than that. You know, so and that's again why you don't care when people hate you if you're doing the right thing.
Oh, it took me a long time, at least a decade, to not care. I'm at the point right now where I don't give a fuck. It's like I know I'm right. I know what I'm fighting for. Doesn't matter what you guys do. I mean, you know, sticks and stones. Fucking pick up a goddamn weapon if you really want to oppose.
Oh yeah, I gotta go. I gotta get Chris on. But
okay.
I'll talk to you soon, and be sure and tune in on Friday.
Why?
I'm gonna try and give everyone who tunes in on Friday $10,000.
Oh, cool. I'll definitely be there, Mike.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and I'm sorry about Julian Assange, but we'll get him out of jail somehow.
I just hope that he's okay, you know, not just freezing and can't breathe and just horrible. You know, I just feel bad for his mom and everything. It's just, you know, and this is the thing about Donald Trump. I mean, it just should be so obvious that he's just not, you know, any different from any of these other sellout motherfuckers.
Gonna have to fucking agree with you, dude. Okay, take care, buddy.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Okay, and that's our buddy Mike from Southern California. I'm gonna play a clip real quick and then go heat up my tea, and then I'll come right back with another caller. Okay, hold on real quick. This is about Joe Biden's promise to ramp up vaccines to 1 million shots per day almost immediately.
With a new president sworn into office comes a new approach to the COVID crisis. President Biden has already put in a mask mandate on federal property and plans to rejoin the World Health Organization.
He has also vowed 100 million vaccinations in his first 100 days. K13's Simone Del Rosario joining us now. So, Simone, how realistic is the new president's goal here?
Well, look, we've averaged less than 500,000 vaccinations in this country so far, which is why so many people are calling President Biden's calls for more than double that ambitious. But in reality, it's very doable. And a researcher at UW's Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation tells me Biden should make it 3 million.
As soon as we expand the phases and we allow more people to come and take the vaccine, it will be much faster. And also we need to keep in mind that during the flu season in the United States, we provide 3 million flu vaccines a day. So yes, we can do 1 million a day. Actually, we should aim for 3 million a day once we have the vaccines.
Yeah, that's my question then. Is 1 million a day or 100 million over 100 days not lofty enough considering the task in front of us?
Of course, yeah, we want to roll the vaccines as fast as possible, but you want to be realistic and make sure that there are vaccines available, especially because you need 2 doses. So you need to make sure that the person who took the first dose can get the second dose when their time comes. So there are some challenges logistically, but yes, in general, the plan is outstanding. 1 million a day will be great, will help us a lot. But of course, being a population health professional, we could do better always, and I will aim for 3 million a day.
Well, if we have this infrastructure in our country with the flu vaccine, it's really not as easy right now to kick it off at this point. The reason this is harder than flu vaccinations is the cold storage. While the flu vaccines can be kept in refrigerators, Pfizer's vaccine needs to be kept in ultra cold freezers that are hard to get, and Moderna's must also be kept frozen. Now, there is some new hope of it being easier for these vaccinations and vaccine providers come spring. There are 2 more vaccines that could be ready by spring. AstraZeneca's just needs to be refrigerated, just like a flu shot. So that's going to make it a lot easier for pharmacies. And then Johnson & Johnson is just 1 shot instead of the 2 that are required from the other vaccine companies. Even in fact, Ali Mokdad tells me he thinks as things ramp up, we could start looking at 6 million vaccinations a day. If we can pull it off, he says this country could reach herd immunity by July. Guys, back to you.
All right, Simone, thank you.
Let's see. Where's that Boo Bear? Hey, Boo Bear. Look at this. Hey, look at this. Look right here. Look what I got. Ooh, what is that? Ooh, is that a chocolate bar? No, it's the remote control. See, silly? It's remote control. You're a funny Boo Bear. You're a funny, don't go. Just stay right there. Everybody be like, where'd the Boo Bear go? You chased the Boo Bear away. We love the Boo Bear. Everybody loves Rufus. Everybody loves Rufus. Don't go, just stay right there. You look so pretty. Down by the river. Just kicking back. You look so pretty, Boo Bear. You're such a pretty Boo Bear. I love my beautiful baby. He's my beautiful baby. I love my beautiful baby. I love my beautiful baby so much. I love my beautiful baby so much. I do. He's my beautiful baby. He's my beautiful baby. All right, so let me think. I think we got another caller. Just a sec. Hold on. And I can't wait to get the vaccines ramped up to 1 million doses a day. Right? That's gonna be a sight to behold. I think they were saying the ultimate goal is to get it to like 4 million doses a day, something like that. Hello, caller. Sorry it took so long, Chris.
Hey, Mike. How are you doing tonight?
I am good. How are you doing?
You know, it's just another day. I'm doing fine. Everything's great. It didn't rain today. It was a little overcast. The surveillance helicopters and planes that have been flying over the city for the last 3 days have just kind of petered off. I can actually talk with you tonight without having a low-flying aircraft over my house with a Washington State Patrol taking photographs of every single person in this town 24/7 for 3 days. That's gone away. That feels good. They must have gone up to Seattle. I bet they're circling Capitol Hill or something right now.
Did you see the protest?
I saw the footage that you posted, and I also saw the article in the Oregonian in the Portland paper about what was happening down in Portland. Kind of similar. Interesting, huh? What do you think about that? That a week or two after the incident in the Capitol building, and now we've got domestic terrorists on the streets of Portland and Seattle. What are we going to do?
I didn't hear him label them that yet. I'm sure it's coming. It's like I've said all along. Is this is what they want? Is they want to be able to label anyone speaking out as a domestic terrorist, and they've already labeled you all in this way. That's why they have to spy on your 12-year-old daughter's cell phone, because she's a potential domestic terrorist.
Yeah, she's not a domestic terrorist. She could be an anti-authoritarian. If she is an anti-authoritarian, we need to get her out of the vent anyway. So we should be looking at photographs of her on Facebook to determine if she's psychologically healthy. And then, if she's psychologically healthy, maybe we'll determine she can have kids. If she's not, we're going to have to discuss that with her parents.
They just build files on people, and it just sits there until they go, oh, we need to have a talk with this person, and then they have this giant file, and they go, okay, this person is this and this and this and this and this, and they know exactly how to deal with you, or they think they do.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So I read an interview. I had a weird thing. So I told you I've been scribbling, right? Doing research and sharing my thoughts on boards and stuff on the internet, and one of the things I kind of researched was this. I had a weird thing happen. There was an interview between that guy Douglas Valentine, whose book I had in my hand when I was talking to you on Monday, and also Whitney Webb, who people in chat might be familiar with Whitney Webb, but Whitney Webb interviewed Douglas Valentine last April, and the title of the interview was about a book he wrote called The Phoenix Program, which was about a CIA operation inside of South Vietnam in the 1960s that was designed to pacify the population. And I just had looked at this video a month ago, and I watched it last spring too. It's an hour-long video with this guy talking about the connections between the police state in the United States and those connections with these CIA operations from the 1960s. And guess what, Mike? The YouTube video is gone. Couldn't find the video. And then I looked on, BitChute and other platforms to see if I could find it, did some searching. I couldn't find the interview between Douglas Valentine and Whitney Webb from April 28th, 2020, last year. Wasn't there. But I did find an anarchist site that had a transcript of the entire interview. So I had a chance to read it. It was about 10 pages long. It's an hour-long interview. But I read it. And when he was talking about the Phoenix Program in South Vietnam, the Central Intelligence Agency working with the United States military and with U.S. International Development Inc., these organizations that we sent in to save the Vietnamese people, we used those organizations to infiltrate political groups in South Vietnam. And one of the ways they did it, Mike, was by using computers and index cards, just like the Nazis did in the 1930s. They used the same techniques. So they started developing all of these files on people in South Vietnam who they thought were opposed to the government, who they thought were communist. And then they started hunting them down. And they murdered 40 to 100,000 people by having their name on a list. So the CIA would get all the data, where their kids went to school, who was in their neighborhood, who they talked to during the day, what books they were reading, what they were talking about at the barber shop. They took all that information and they made these charts and these data, and then they gave the data to the South Vietnamese secret police, who went around and murdered these people with the help of the CIA. The reason why the story is relevant to today is those tactics that they used during the Phoenix Program in South Vietnam were brought back to the United States. And these tactics that were employed after the Patriot Act, in 2001, after the towers fell, well, after that happened, the same people who were in power at that time, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, those people had been real low-level officials during the late 60s and early 70s. So they took those same kind of fascist ideas that they actually used to kill people in Vietnam, and they incorporated them into the Patriot Act. You know, like files on people.
Like, you said, I couldn't hear what you said. You said, like, they incorporated them into the Patriot Act, like
by having all of these agencies to create the Department of Homeland Security is one example.
Okay.
So now, like the FBI, the Central Intelligence Agency, military intelligence, and the National Security Agency, all of those different ICE, immigration, and customs, they share information with each other now. And they share that information at fusion centers that are spread out all over the United States. So the closest fusion center to me is like near the military base, right, at Fort Lewis.
And I think I think at the beginning of the video we played an active protest that's going on in Seattle, and I think that's what the protest is mainly about. Is they want the abolishment of ICE. They want it now. They want it under Biden. They want Biden to act immediately. But they were also anti-Biden protesters. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, before the Patriot Act, these groups were split, which meant that, like, technically the Central Intelligence Agency was not allowed to do work, like psychological operations, inside of the United States. Now, whether they did or not, of course they did, but they weren't allowed technically to. But after the Department of Homeland Security was created in, like, 2002, the CIA worked with all of these agencies, which meant that they could work in the United States with fusion centers, right?
Yeah.
So that was 20 years ago. And what it meant was, what this guy was saying, Douglas Valentine is his name, he was saying, so now it's been 20 years since we've had active Central Intelligence Agency operatives working in our communities with law enforcement. And they develop a culture. You know, cops know cops, and cops think like cops, and cops and military work together. They start thinking alike. And that is like where you get where the CIA can do psychological operations.
And it's more than that. It's more than that. Cops know judges. Cops know district attorneys. They all belong to the same fucking club. They all belong to the same Masonic club, the same Masonic lodge, the same Elks Club, Lions Club, whatever it is. That's how it works.
It does work that way. But now, actually, the government has said it's okay for the FBI. So the CIA can work in the United States now, but the FBI can also work overseas. So there's this special unit of the FBI that works in crisis situations, and they did training with the U.S. military in Iraq. So, like, when they wanted to interrogate people, you know, there were FBI interrogators. They're pretty good at that, so they could share their data with, like, U.S. military intelligence, right? But when that guy in Oregon, one of the Bundys got, you know, shot in the neck or something, he was shot by a federal agent from that task force that works with the U.S. military.
Oh,
So
you're
that
talking
is the
about Finicum. What's his name? It's Finicum.
It was the guy at the Malheur National.
He was driving away from them and went through a roadblock and stuff. His name was Finicum, something Finicum. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Lavoy Finicum, something like that.
Yeah, I don't have his name off the top of my head, but I do know that all of those people got off because originally they said that he was shot in the neck by a cop. Right, it was a random shooting. They didn't know who had fired the bullet. Well, they found out that the person who actually fired the bullet was a federal agent who worked with this task force that I'm describing to you, which is like infiltrates these groups. All right.
Yeah.
So COINTELPRO was the organization that, like, they probably killed Martin Luther King using COINTELPRO. They killed Fred Hampton using COINTELPRO. They broke up the Black Panthers using COINTELPRO, which are counterintelligence operations with the FBI. So this shit has been going on for a long, long time. And the cover-up by the journalist has been going on for a long, long time. So last week, we didn't hear intelligence analysts like, you know, again, I'll name a few, like Glenn Greenwald, Ray McGovern, Max Blumenthal, Ed Norton, even Chris Hedges, like, investigative journalists, did not even suggest that some of the people who were leading people into the Capitol building were federal agent provocateurs. They kept saying, the media kept saying, oh, I think it could be Antifa infiltrating them, but nobody stepped forward and said, did anyone imagine that some of those people are feddies?
Right.
Not one person asked that question.
I have another video tonight about 3 more Seattle police officers that have voluntarily stepped forward to say that they were also involved in the D.C. protests. That's 3 more on top of the 2 that were already busted for social media posts during the D.C. protests. So that's a total of 5 Seattle police officers. And if we're talking agent provocateurs, we're talking about cops and FBI and shit like that. So go ahead.
That's right, and it doesn't have to be like the CIA agent or the FBI agent.
Right.
It can be like a cop that they met at a fusion center, and then they just plant all this information in his head, like, hey, Jack, you got some time off. Why don't you go to D.C.? Sounds like a great idea. I would if I could. Yeah, I'll think about it. Well, I'll tell you what, you really should. And here's some literature you can distribute while you're there. And, if you really want to take a building, I would do it this way. What do you say, Jack? So they plant ideas in people's heads, and then they direct them so that they get the desired outcome,
People are very suggestible.
And I would be really shocked, Mike, if some of that didn't happen.
Well, I would honestly be shocked if there, with all the cops and everything, all the military people that seem to be involved in the taking of the Capitol building and the occupation of the Capitol building, I would be surprised if many of them weren't agent provocateurs. And I don't think they were necessarily just suggested that they should go there. I think they were, paid to go there and be agent provocateurs.
I think so too, and I also believe that we're never going to find out about this for about 15 years, because that's the way it works. It's
well,
like they don't
that's the media
crime.
that we have right now, anyways.
Yeah. So Noam Chomsky. I watched an interview with Noam Chomsky, Primo Netmick. Noam Chomsky, whatever you want to call him, and you can call him a lot of names, and I do all the time. But I'll tell you, he's definitely not a stupid human being. He's pretty fairly intelligent man. So if he doesn't say something, or if he chooses not to look at something, it's because he doesn't want to look at something.
Right.
And that's so he believes that John Kennedy was not assassinated by the CIA. He believes Robert Kennedy was not killed by the CIA or the FBI. He said, maybe Martin Luther King was killed, even though there was a trial in 1979 that proved Martin LutherKing was killed by the FBI.
Right.
And
Just ask him anything about 9/11. I mean, he's not gonna. He's like and people have asked him in open forums about 9/11, and he won't talk. Now, if you want to ask him about like linguistic theory, or if you want to ask him about propaganda, or if you want to ask him about fascism, in the 1960s in Latin America, he's your guy to talk to. But if you want to ask him about something that's happening now, if you want to ask him about Jeffrey Epstein and elitist pedophile rings in our government, he's probably not the guy to talk to.
No, he's not going to talk to you. And he'll probably call you a name. He definitely will call you a name.
And which is the sign of a bully. If anybody ever starts calling you names, understand immediately that you're dealing with a bully. And there's ways
really
to
arrogant.
And if you understand that, there are many ways to deal with bullies. Go ahead.
Yes, there are. Don't give them the time of day is the first thing you can do, and then they go away pretty quickly. I mean, that's what I'm discovering. There were a couple articles though, Mike, I want to share with you from Stop the Drug War. And then there was one other thing I want to talk about. So I'll go really quick because I wasted a lot of time. And this one, the first one is talking about recreational marijuana sales in Arizona. It's posted today, January 20th, 2021 at stopthedrugwar.org. And it says, Arizona recreational marijuana sales could begin as early as this week. state officials told existing marijuana dispensaries that they are poised to issue them licenses for recreational sales, and these are existing medical marijuana dispensaries. They're going to get licenses for recreational sales. Could begin open for recreational sales as early as this week.
Wow.
Dispensary owners they're waiting for imminent notice that licenses have arrived. Quote, "I'm sitting here at my computer hitting refresh," said Raul Molina, a partner and senior vice president of operations for the Mint dispensaries in Mesa and in Guadalupe. So that's good news. People tonight might be able to just go to the store and buy some pot without having a medical marijuana license at a recreational store.
Yeah, that's great news, man. That is really, really good news.
And more good news from North Dakota. It looks like the legislature might be getting a step ahead of referendums. It says North Dakota marijuana legalization bill, in their legislature is filed. Even as marijuana legalization initiative campaign gears up for 2022, some legislators aren't waiting to take the issue to the voters. Representative Doctor, who is a Republican from Bismarck, and a handful of co-sponsors have filed House Bill 1420, which will allow adults 21 and older to legally purchase and possess up to 1 ounce of marijuana from a licensed retail outlet. The measure does not have any provision for home cultivation, which is shitty, but at least, they could go and buy some pot, and somebody's walking down the street and they have a half ounce of cannabis in their pocket. They're not going to go to jail.
That's really important.
It's not perfect, but it's better than what it was.
It's a big weight off the stoner's back, that's for sure. And also I want to point out Bill 1420. Coincidence? I don't think so. Go ahead.
You know what? I hadn't even thought about that. But yeah, I think somebody's just waiting, looking at the clock, just waiting for 420 to roll around. The other thing I want to talk about, and the last thing I want to talk about, and this was mentioned at Stop the Drug War, but I believe you mentioned it earlier on your program, and this is what they say. This is the first link. It says, Trump pardons or commutes sentences for dozens of drug offenders. In one of his last acts in office, ex-President Trump pardoned or commuted the sentence of dozens of drug offenders, including at least a dozen marijuana offenders who had been the object of campaigns to free them. He also pardoned or commuted the sentences of corrupt Republican politicians like Steve Bannon and a handful of felonious healthcare industry executives and connected celebrities like Lil Wayne. And then I clicked on the link, and the link sent me to an NBC article that provides the full list of who was pardoned. And if people are just curious, if they want to do some reading tonight before they go to bed, there's a full list of 143 people that Trump gave last-minute pardons to over at NBC. And I wanted to share a couple of these with you because I think it's really relevant. Like, there were kind of different groups. Let
me ask you a quick question, okay? Before you share, do you think? What do you think about presidents and how they wait until their very last minute in office to give pardons to these people who have campaigns for years saying, hey, this is unjust and unfair, and why won't you help this person? And then they wait until the very last moment and go, oh, yeah, let's help that person. What do you think it says about this act of pardoning people when all the presidents seem to wait until the very last moment to do it? They could do it. They could do this at any time during their presidency. They can pick up their pen and say, that person is now pardoned, right?
It tells me, Mike, that everybody in Washington, D.C. makes decisions based on political calculations. And that it isn't really a moral question. It isn't really a question of right and wrong. It's a question of how is this going to benefit me or my party in the future? And what can I do to elicit support from people in the future? That's the only reason these people are pardoned. It isn't really because deep down, and I don't think Donald Trump is any worse of a person deep down than the other presidents. But it just means that that isn't the reason why he makes these decisions. It's the reason the decisions are made by the president and his staff. Because remember, these decisions are made when people shove paper in this guy's face and they say, sign this. I mean, Donald Trump hasn't thought about any of these people at all, except for the last day in office, one of his advisors just shoved this paper in his face and said, these are things we got to do. It's the last hour of the last day. Shit has to get done.
Well, it's not just Donald Trump, though. I mean, it's all the presidents.
No, it isn't.
All the presidents, the last thing they do is they pardon a bunch of people, and it just, to me, it tells me that there's something criminal or very crooked going on there. And they don't want people talking about it for weeks or months or years while they're in office. So they wait until their last day or their last couple of days in office, and then they start doing it. And that way, and there's so many other things going on with the change of power and everything that it's
there's two people like here, like in my town or whatever, in my little political circles or whatever, over the last 30 years that I've been aware of that have had people petition them to be pardoned. And one is Mumia Abu-Jamal.
Mm-hmm.
I knew a woman who fasted for 4 days on the steps of the governor's office or something to try and get Mumia Abu-Jamal pardoned by putting pressure on our congressional delegation. And then the other person I know of is Leonard Peltier, who's the Native American person who was part of the shootout with federal cops on Native American land back in the 70s. And he was accused of shooting a federal agent, and he spent 40 years in jail. And he's pretty much a nonviolent guy, and they were attacking him on his own land, and he defended himself, and they say he shot a federal cop. But still, in any other country in the world, if a person was to do that, they would only spend 25 years in jail anyway. They wouldn't spend the rest of their life in jail. So since we have such draconian sentencing laws in the United States, there's a reason, I guess, why pardons are a good thing. I don't know. It's a complicated... Criminal justice reform is a big deal, Mike, and most Americans just don't pay very close attention to it.
It is a big deal, and it's incredibly... There's so many ways that the justice system is just completely broken in this country, and it just I think it's really unfortunate that these guys, that it's, again, like you're saying, this is a political calculation. We have to do this now, last minute, because then we can point to it later and we'll get votes because of it or whatever.
So Mike from SoCal was telling me about what a wonderful guy Trump is. He's not that bad. He could be worse. He's not that bad. Bye. All of that, right? So I would like Mike to think about some of these people. I'm going to go through this quick so that he can think about who the fuck this guy pardoned and what a great guy he is. And here, I'll start with this one right here. Today, he pardoned Aviam Sela. Aviam Sela is an Israeli citizen who was indicted in March 1987 on charges that he recruited convicted American spy Jonathan Pollard to collect U.S. military secrets for Israel. So he pardoned an Israeli spy. Trump granted him a full pardon, and a request was supported by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli ambassador to the United States, and the U.S. ambassador to Israel. So the Prime Minister of Israel said, Trump, let the guy who helped Pollard go. He's an Israeli citizen, U.S. jail, let him go. And Donald Trump said, yeah, I'm your bitch, Netanyahu. Let him go. I want Mike to think about that. All right? That's one. Two, David Tammen. Trump granted a full pardon to David Tammen, who was a partner at a law firm when he doctored financial documents on behalf of a client who was perpetuating a Ponzi scheme. According to the Department of Justice, the scheme ultimately took $22 million from victims. Tammen was found guilty of 10 counts that included obstruction of justice, altering records in a federal investigation, and being an accessory after the fact to a fraud scheme. He was convicted in 2013 and completed his 7-year sentence in 2019. His sentence has just been commuted because he's a good guy, even though he stole $22 million from people. Here's another one. And I want Andrea to think about this person's name hard. Shalom Weiss. Mr. Weiss was pardoned 18 years into an 835-year sentence, believed to be the longest ever white-collar prison sentence ever committed by justice, right? For his role in setting up an insurance fraud scheme, and he received support from Alan Dershowitz, Jay Sekulow, two prominent lawyers who personally sent letters to Trump. 835-year sentence for a white-collar crime, off the hook, right?
He must have done something.
He must have done something. He must have made some magic happen, right? Here's another guy who got magic. Dwayne Michael Carter, a rapper who performs as Lil Wayne, also granted a pardon. Pleaded guilty in December to a federal weapons charge after he carried a handgun from California to Florida on his private jet. Due to past felony convictions, he is barred under federal law from possessing firearms. Charge carries a maximum prison sentence of 10 years. Carter has frequently expressed support for Trump and recently met with the president on criminal justice issues. Now, this one is interesting, right? Because, you know, the only reason that this guy, Lil Wayne, is getting off is because he's a celebrity. And it does sound like kind of a harsh sentence, 10 years in jail for like a gun violation of parole or something. However, it's just like who has the money gets off, right?
Yeah.
There are probably thousands of people in Florida's jails and in federal jails who are rotting away because they just got caught with a gun at the wrong time. And they're not getting off, right? So the president lets this guy off, Dwayne Michael Carter, because it's a great symbol for the black community.
And for gun rights also. And for gun rights also.
And for gun, it's a double.
Yeah. So and this comes back to what I was saying at the beginning is what is it that you think about him doing last minute? Again, this because it's this dirty kind of criminal thing where if this guy wasn't rich, if he wasn't a celebrity, if he didn't fly around on private jets, the last thing he'd be getting is a pardon. Some black guy in jail getting a pardon for a gun charge. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Here's two more. Elliot Broidy. Broidy is a former Republican National Committee finance chair, one of the biggest positions in the Republican National Committee, and one of Trump's top fundraisers. Now, he was pardoned.
Yeah.
Broidy pleaded guilty in October to conspiring to violate foreign lobbying laws. Prosecutors said that the scheme aimed to have the Trump administration sink an investigation into a multi-billion-dollar looting of Malaysian state investment fund. So this American businessman went to Malaysia, and he was really good with computers too, Mike. Really smart American waspy kind of guy. Waspy guy flies into Malaysia, steals all their shit, gets caught, gets sentenced to jail for being a thief, and what happens? Donald Trump says you gotta go. No problem. Steal their money. I would have done it if I could have.
Right.
So these are some of the scumbags. And I know that at Stop the Drug War and a couple of other sites, they said they did let a few nonviolent criminals go. And there are a few that seem like, they look like they might be ordinary people. They're salt and pepper, in that long list. But most of the drug offenses were for like big drug offenses. Like one of them was, they said that there was a marijuana smuggler from Mexico to the United States, like ran airplanes and stuff, right? And they claimed that he smuggled like $1.8 billion worth of cannabis over that border back and forth, right?
Rock on, bro.
Yeah, you go, man. But like to conflate or imagine that like that guy is the same as like some poor African American or some poor white person in rural America rotting in a jail like in Louisiana
because he had a joint in his pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You make over $1 billion smuggling drugs into the United States. I bet you can like get some, and you can get enough influence to get yourself off, like in a pardon from the U.S. president. I bet. You know? So I find the whole circus, it's all kind of, it's just pathetic. You know, and Obama and Bill Clinton and George Bush, the son, they did all this crap too. And this is, like you said, this is like what they do on the last day. It's like part of the job description. On the last day of work, you're going to let all these scumbags out of jail so that we can get money for them for your next campaign. Cool.
Yay.
Go democracy.
It's, you know, it just shows how dirty these people are, in my opinion. It shows, again, that they're all the same. There isn't a good one. You know, I mean, and I understand why people want to think, oh, he's one of the good ones, because they're desperate for a good one. They don't want to believe that that their government is as evil as it is. You know, good people don't want to think bad things. They want to think, no, we'll have a good government, you know? They're desperate to believe that. Desperate. So much so that they refuse to open their eyes and see the truth, you know?
It's just bribery and corruption. It's just straight up bribery and corruption. If you have power and money, you can influence the government and get whatever you want. And you know, that it's a quid pro quo relationship. Politicians, they're looking for some money. If they take some money from you, they'll be really nice to you and push legislation forward that represents your interest. So that is what, like, this capitalism and democracy, when it works together, it doesn't work. Like, democracy could work, I believe. I know you don't like democracy. I think it could work, Mike. But only if there was no money involved. Like, when the money is involved, it doesn't work. And our economy is all based on people making money. So there's all these incentives, like greed and stuff, incentives that people have to make things happen for them. And when that kind of culture exists in a society, you can't really have honest democracy, because my voice and your voice, and we're poor, our voices don't count, really.
Well, see, I think somehow democracy is now believed to be basically the two-party system, right? And that's what's fucking us, you know? So that's why I don't care for this idea of democracy. And one of the things that I keep hearing Joe Biden say, and if you're paying attention, I guarantee you're going to hear him say it more and more, is democracy prevails, right? And it reminds me again of V for Vendetta every time he says that, because the guy who's the propagandist on the show, who does the, you know, the news, he's like the Bill O'Reilly character. He says Britain prevails at the end of every episode, you know. And now Joe Biden is saying democracy prevails, and it's just too close to, you know.
You know that that the New York Times has, for the longest time, has that little box on the top of their newspaper in the left corner. It says all the news that's fit to print. And since Jeff Bezos has purchased the Washington Post, you know, actually it was since he purchased the Post before Donald Trump became president, but after Donald Trump became president, he changed the byline right underneath the paper. So, you know, right, it says in big letters, it says the Washington Post on their website. And then in a smaller scroll right beneath Washington Post, it says, democracy dies in darkness.
Oh, wow, kind of like that.
Every single, go to their website. It's been there for 4 years. It says, democracy dies in darkness. And the reason that I know it, Mike, is because I'm a gardener, and I've had a client for the last 7 years, and her correspondence, when I email with her, it's changed in the last 4 years. Every single email she sends me, and her name is Karen, every single email that she sends me ends with, democracy dies in darkness, as a quote. She puts it after. So she'll say, like, you know, come by, clean out the beds, cut the rhododendron, do this, do that, and we'll talk about the yard. And then, like, at the bottom of the email, it says, democracy dies in darkness.
Well, as far as the Washington Post goes, I think that's a hell of a lot better motto than fair and balanced.
All the news that's fit to print. That's pretty elitist, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
All the news.
And we'll decide what is fit to print and what's not. So
Yeah, like, are there weapons of mass destruction in Iraq? I mean, in Saddam Hussein, does he have those weapons of mass destruction? We'll decide all the news that's fit to print. So they're just propaganda.
We're not sure, but he definitely has aluminum tubes. He has aluminum tubes. You know what they do with tubes?
Well, some people say that's one of the reasons why people should read, like, the Wall Street Journal, and economic press like Barron's and Market Watch, because when they're doing the money, when the people who write about the money, they don't lie as much.
But they definitely have they definitely have an agenda. Also, that's the thing.
Of course, they have an agenda.
Yeah,
but
they're
for
trying
the facts, like how the facts are.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get the facts in the Wall Street Journal. Because if I'm an investor, like in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to spend my money tomorrow, I want a news service that's going to give me the most accurate information with least amount of political bias, and that's why.
But Murdoch owns the Wall Street Journal now, and I just can't imagine Murdoch not giving some political bias. But I understand what you're saying. My dad read
that was a concern.
My dad read the Wall Street Journal every day. Every single day. He had it delivered to the house. So.
And that's why people they want to know the facts of the matter, and that's just an idea. Like, some of these newspapers, you feel like the political papers aren't telling you the truth. Always check in the financial press, and you get a different opinion. Sometimes. I mean, just as an idea, I try using it sometimes when I feel like I'm getting too much propaganda, which is probably going to be like right now, because I feel overloaded with propaganda right now. And yeah, what a spectacle. J-Lo and Garth Brooks unite the country. Wow. We've really reached idiocracy, on steroids, I believe. Did you see that dress that Lady Gaga was wearing?
I didn't see Lady Gaga. Was it made out of meat? Was it made out of meat?
No. It was like this huge ballroom gown, but it was all puffy at the bottom, and it was red.
Yeah.
It almost had she was almost trailing behind her like a wedding dress. Took up the entire aisle, three people worth of space. Her dress, and then it was red to symbolize The Handmaid's Tale, that book by Margaret Atwood. So it was just filled with symbolism.
Wow.
And anyway, I just don't. I don't know. It's just weird. It's like the Democratic Party bought Lady Gaga and J-Lo and
Tom Hanks
for the night or the
Tom
afternoon
Hanks.
to
Tom
try and
Hanks.
make us all feel good.
Tom Hanks.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Craig is so funny. Craig was like, I just met the president again. I don't know. I can't do Forrest Gump, but he's imitating, and then I met the president again. I was I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know. Tom Hanks he can be a good actor, but he hasn't been one in a long time, so it's do you know the movie The Burbs? Mm-mm.
No, it's
from the 80s.
It was 80s, yeah. It was 80s.
Yeah.
And
he was better then.
He had It's about him and his neighbor, suspecting that their new neighbor who just moved in is a serial killer. It's fucking hilarious, dude. Oh, and also The Man with One Red Shoe. Do you know that one? No, The Man with One Red Shoe is one of my favorite movies. I probably watched it 20 or 30 times.
All right, I will. I'm writing that one down as we speak. The Man with One Red Shoe. I will watch that. Yeah, he kind of reminded me of maybe Jimmy Stewart, or more of a comedian, kind of approaching it kind of with a slapstick kind of laugh, and then they become serious, as they get dramatic roles and then they become political, and you know, and then it just goes down the toilet. It's how it often works with actors.
You know, I just think look, I honestly believe that the people who have the loudest microphone have the biggest obligation to speak out. You know, you see the way I speak out. You know, it's like Colin Kaepernick. You know, he had to do what he was doing because he had the audience, and he knew that, you know, this is what you do to bring attention to what's wrong in the world, and
he paid a price. He
yeah.
paid a price for that because and you know, a person is honest and has some level of sincerity, and when they pay a heavy price, and in his case. I mean, he did get some endorsements, you know, for what he did. That's true, but he'll never be able to play football again, which is what he wanted to do. That's what his life program was. He never will be able to do that again.
That's what he worked. That's what he worked his whole life. That's what he worked his whole life to do. Yeah.
And he's qualified and capable of being a quarterback at that level, a football player. But the fact is this last year in the NFL. They had such a shortage of quarterbacks that they were having quarterbacks who played for Canadian football and for like B-League football actually play games in the, you know, because they couldn't find a competitive quarterback to fill a slot. Meanwhile, this guy has been without a job, you know, for whatever, 5 years or something, and is totally capable of doing that. But they will never, ever let him in their organization because he's an anti-authoritarian, Mike. And authoritarians cannot stand having an anti-authoritarian in their midst because they never know what they're going to say or what they're going to do, but they're pretty damn sure they're going to have something to do with their conscience. And they don't want that trouble around. So if a person has dissident thought or dissenting ideas, just get that person out of the program. You know, it happens to so many people.
Right. It might infect others too. You know, can't have that.
Yeah. Discourage other kids. Certainly in football programs, you know, or in sports programs across America, it's going to discourage them from speaking out on their teams when they see injustice, because their coaches and their co-players are going to say, "Hey, man, we're not here to talk about all the evictions happening in our city today. Remember, we're here to play basketball." You know, so they think, unfortunately. So I mean, I don't know. I don't have any problems with Colin Kaepernick.
No, I'm just using him as an example again of doing the right thing. You know,
exactly.
And being the virtuous man I can't remember right now. The virtuous man is, you know, is undefeatable because no matter what, even if you are slayed in the act of being the virtuous man, you still win. You know, because you were the one doing what's right, and the other person
really reminds me
knocks
of
you down.
Martin Luther King.
Yeah, go ahead.
Martin Luther King, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's Martin Luther King, right? This week is like, you know, we celebrate Martin Luther King. And in fact, like, there was a person who stood up, fought for people's rights, you know, organized for people, and for speaking his truth, he was assassinated. Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King he was, again, this is the thing where he was infecting people. You know, he was this thing where you inspire people to, you know, to be who they are, to be strong, to be the top of the food chain, instead of the walking around in fear and, you know, constantly looking over your shoulder, terrified that the police state might fucking crack down on your ass. You know, I mean, he emboldened people, and that just was just too big a threat.
It was, and Noam Chomsky doesn't believe that the government killed him. Can you believe that? Just utterly asinine. Or he won't say it publicly. Just unbelievable. I'm going to leave it at that, Mike, and listen to the rest of the show. Always appreciate your program and your voice and your different perspectives. Look forward to talking with you another night.
I look forward to talking to you very soon, Chris.
Okay, take care, Mike.
Okay, thanks for calling. And that's our buddy Chris from Olympia. And it's all, and again, you know, I say this all the time, that, you know, you guys are what make the show worthwhile. If it's me just sitting here, I might say some interesting things, but you guys are what gives the show flavor, and you know, and your voices are what really are important here. So I hope that you will consider calling in if you have the ability to do that. Again, the number is 805-669-6397. And see. I have a video about Trump. A bunch of documents were declassified by the FBI today about the Russia probe and Hillary Clinton and stuff, and I found it very interesting and very little talked about, and I thought that if I had a chance I should play more information on it. So I'm going to play a lead-in story to it, and then I will play another story. We'll come back and maybe take a phone call if there's one, 805-669-6397. Otherwise, we'll play the other story in just a minute that explains it in more detail. So let me play that for you now, and I will be right back. Hold on just a sec.
We're learning more tonight about a San Diego woman shot and killed Wednesday when
A live look at the White House right now, where President Joe Biden is now getting settled in as the 46th president of the United States. Now that he is sworn in, the president will turn his focus to some high priority items, including getting financial assistance to the millions of Americans struggling amid the COVID pandemic. That includes his desire to get another round of stimulus money out. President Biden plans to cut another $1,400 check for struggling Americans. But getting that check cut and out the door might take some time. One new report today says Congress might not get to COVID relief until March. Meanwhile, President Biden is also asking Congress to approve funding for rent, utilities, and homelessness relief. He's also looking to extend bans on evictions and foreclosures. That will require several federal departments and agencies taking steps to extend the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's federal moratorium on eviction for non-payment of rent until at least the end of March.
Though now former President Trump did not attend the inauguration today, he did choose to observe one White House tradition, leaving a welcome letter to the new president. Within the last hour, President Biden called the letter very generous and said because it was private, he wouldn't reveal the contents without speaking with Trump first. Former First Lady Melania Trump also left a brief note welcoming First Lady Jill Biden, and 17 House GOP freshmen penned a letter to the new president committing to work with him. The Trumps left the White House early this morning for Florida instead of welcoming the incoming president and First Lady.
A crowd gathered to see the former president's motorcade as it traveled through West Palm Beach en route to Mar-a-Lago. Jay O'Brien has a look at the unusual end of the Trump presidency.
Not long before President Biden took the oath of office, President Trump arrived here to Mar-a-Lago, perhaps a fitting end to a presidency that was anything but traditional. As Washington prepared for one of its most time-honored ceremonies, President Trump and the first family packed up and left town, choosing to say farewell at Joint Base Andrews before flying south in Air Force One for the final time.
I will always fight for you. I will be watching. I wish the new administration great luck and great success.
As the presidential plane touched down at Palm Beach International, cameras were there to capture the moment, but no well-wishers on the tarmac, instead watching from rooftops.
Who knows when Air Force One's going to be in town again.
As always, supporters line the motorcade route, today's crowd the largest in recent memory. With him till the end, alongside robust security. Trump's procession moving slower than normal, giving the waving first family time to take it all in.
We're truly losing the greatest president. It was his presidency.
4 years in the spotlight, ending with this. The presidential SUV passing over the bridge to Trump's Palm Beach mansion to serve out his final minutes in office. Hours later, with Trump securely at Mar-a-Lago, the jet he used as Air Force One sprang to life again, and the plane headed to its home 800 miles away. We're not sure how much we'll see or hear from Mr. Trump over the next few days. This is typically as far as people can get across the water from his club. It's a very private place, and over the past 4 years, the best glimpse we've gotten inside has been through President Trump's Twitter account, and he doesn't have that now. Despite that, we don't expect him to keep a low profile for long. I'm Jay O'Brien reporting.
And he didn't leave office without handling some last-minute business that included executive actions. Sinclair National correspondent James Rosen has a look at what former President Trump did before bidding a final farewell to the White House.
A goodbye. We love you. We will be back in some form. So, have a good life. We will see you soon.
Among the president's final actions was a flurry of pardons and commutations, extending clemency to, among others, Steve Bannon, the former Trump advisor who had pleaded not guilty to alleged fundraising violations, and rapper Lil Wayne, who was soon to be sentenced on a gun charge. Mr. Trump also ordered the declassification of an unspecified number of documents relating to Crossfire Hurricane, the FBI's original Trump-Russia probe of 2016. To many Americans, First Lady Melania Trump, a former fashion model who became a model of style and grace in the White House, remained enigmatic as she so often toiled in a silence that she broke briefly Wednesday morning to offer a heartfelt goodbye.
Being your First Lady was my greatest honor. Thank you for your love and your support. You will be in my thoughts and prayers. God bless you all. God bless your families. And God bless this beautiful nation. Thank you.
Now, the Trump administration is history, but history is not done with Donald Trump. Besides his second impeachment trial in the Senate, due to start within weeks, the former president also faces a raft of lawsuits and ongoing investigations in which he will no longer be able to claim the immunity he enjoyed as chief executive. Outside the nation's capital, James Rosen.
There's that Boo Bear. What's up, buddy? How's my beautiful baby? Okay, so I have that video for you. And again, they just mentioned the document dump there about the FBI documents about the Russia probe and how it was all set up, and it was brought to the media, and the media just ran with it, and it was all a bunch of bullshit. I have another video in which they go into more detail about that, but there was other things in that video that kind of were about today. And, you know, today is this is your Wake and Bake News at 7 p.m. So I want to make sure that we're all caught up in the same page as to what's happening today. And you guys know a little bit more than most, so you know. Let's see. Okay. So I have more videos. We don't have any phone callers at the moment. If you want to call, the number is 805-669-6397. And I would love to talk to you. Again, it's you guys' opinions. This is about sidestepping the YouTube censors and us having the discussion that we should be having. The discussions that YouTube and the Google censors and just the internet censors in general don't want you to have. And then there's all the Karens who want to flag all of our comments to say, oh yeah, look at these people, look at these people. This is how we sidestep that. They can't flag our phone calls. So if you want to call, the numbers right there on the screen, 805-669-6397, 805-669-6397, 805 Mox News. Okay, and I will go ahead and play this other video for you, which is about the more detail on the Hillary Clinton FBI documents about the Russia probe and such, so that you guys can know, because this is happening today. This is brand new stuff, and you guys should know about it. If you're going to be a viewer here, that's what we do. So I will play that for you now, since we don't have any phone callers, and we'd love to hear from you. All right, so here we go. Be right back.
Breaking tonight, newly declassified and released documents show that Christopher Steele confessed to the FBI that he leaked the false Russian collusion narrative in order to try to help Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign against Donald Trump. The document states, quote, Steele and Burroughs, who was Steele's partner, described President Trump as their main opponent and indicated they were fearful that Trump's presidency might negatively affect the historic U.S. alliance with the UK and their special relationship. Well, among the documents secured by Just the News editor-in-chief John Solomon now, Christopher Steele's admission that he chose his allegiance to Hillary Clinton over his work with the FBI. The FBI notes further, revealing, quote, Steele explained that as the election season went on, they, as a company, were riding two horses, their client, Hillary Clinton, and the FBI. And after FBI Director James Comey's reopening of the Hillary Clinton investigation as the election approached, they had to pick one horse and choose the business-client relationship over the relationship with the FBI. They followed what their client wanted, and they spoke to the press. Solomon is now reporting the FBI opened an investigation in 2014 into a foreign power's efforts to influence Hillary Clinton. 2014. But that investigation was, well, it was stonewalled by FBI leadership. Its seventh floor. An FBI employee wrote to then Director James Comey in April of 2015, quote, the FISA application has remained in limbo for the last 4 months, even though subsequent investigative activity by Redacted provided additional probable cause for the FISA application. So instead of a FISA warrant, the FBI gave Clinton a defensive briefing. Entirely different the way in which they handled false Russia collusion claims against presidential candidate Donald Trump. Why? Well, we know the answer. Hillary Clinton was their preferred candidate. John Solomon, editor-in-chief of Just the News, best-selling author, and he has breaking news on the FBI's efforts to investigate a foreign money plot against Hillary Clinton. John, good to see you. What can you tell us?
Well, listen, one of the most interesting things is looking at the contemporaneous documents. There were people inside the FBI, lead agents in the field, who were developing this evidence that a foreign power wanted to give large sums of money to Hillary Clinton to help her campaign in an effort to curry favor. And they became enormously frustrated. 4 months passed after they filled out their FISA application, and nobody was getting back to them. One of the agents became so bold as to write directly to Director James Comey and ask, what's going on here? My guys are upset, and we want to get this tool. In fact, we found more evidence since we filed the FISA. What are you doing? And James Comey claimed ignorance. I don't know what's going on here, he said, but I'll try to get smart about it. What we learned is that from all the documents we've seen, they didn't do the FISA, and instead they went to Hillary Clinton instead, gave her a defensive briefing saying, hey, could be a foreign power, be careful where you take your money. The sort of thing they didn't do for Donald Trump. Donald Trump never got a defensive briefing on Russia. He did get a FISA, and that we now know was based on false information.
Yeah, we wouldn't, I don't know that we should say he got a FISA. He was FISA'd, whereas right. Hillary Clinton wasn't.
That's right.
The foreign power. Which foreign power?
We don't know. And sadly, the documents leave out the name of the foreign power.
I'm willing to speculate. I'm willing to speculate.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think of that country which seemed to have benefited most while she was Secretary of State. I'm thinking of that country that somehow managed to gain control of 20% of our uranium reserves. That's the one I'm thinking of.
I know Russia would be a natural one to think about. Ukraine's another one you might think about. She had a lot of financial donors there. China's another one you'd think about. I'm told China and Russia are not the country, but the other countries will not. They won't confirm or the country. And I'm still reporting on that. We'll try to get to the bottom of that over the next few days.
I would like to know why there was no investigation. And by that I mean a real and constructive investigation by the FBI into uranium-1. That still remains a huge mystery. The declassification of the document, Steele's overt statement that he was working for Hillary Clinton, the FBI knew that. They knew that in 2017. And they knew that and created a special counsel. Well, I think so too, because they were part of the first attempts to frame General Michael Flynn. So they were on a mission already. Your point is exact. My question here is, the FBI knew it, the Justice Department knew it, the intelligence chiefs knew it, and they combined and acted in concert to destroy first the candidacy of Donald J. Trump and then his presidency. And we have witnessed this, we have known these documents further corroborate it, and there isn't a single soul among those corrupt officials who've been held accountable, and not anyone in the left-wing national media, as far as I know, has put those facts before their readers, their listeners, and their viewers and users, and said, this is the truth, and what we carried to you in giant buckets from 2016 and 2017 on was a lie. Why not?
Yeah, there's a conspiracy of silence, and I think the news media is ashamed of its reporting, so they've just moved on and pretend it didn't happen. And I think that's unfortunate. We're learning some new things in these documents, even as we speak. The FBI was aware that Hillary Clinton's inner circle was working on a Russia collusion narrative as early as April 2016, way earlier than we thought. We've always been told July was sort of the ignition date. We now learn in these documents, April, Cody Scherer, one of the inner members of the Clinton advisory team, was putting together a lot of the salacious stuff that later became part of Steele's dossier. In April, he gives it to a State Department official. State Department official gives it to Steele. And then there's an effort to try to acquire or buy a tape from Russia. Christopher Steele even thought that was going to be a trap. He thought that was a setup and there. But the extent to which the Clinton team was trying to create a false narrative about Donald Trump, it showed very few bounds.
John Solomon, thank you for all of your work throughout the past 4 years. As we have all in this country witnessed a president subverted, his agenda blocked and opposed at every turn by the deep state, the Democrat Party, and with absolute abandon for integrity, for honesty. It's a shame what we have permitted to happen to a great president, but it would be as tragic for even a middling president. It's a shame that this Republican Party didn't have the guts, the will, the principle to stand up. Shame on the leadership of the Republican Party. Shame on all of those who could have made a difference, who chose to avert their eyes. John Solomon, luckily, the nation had you. We appreciate it. And
Thank you,
got
sir.
you. Stay with us. Thanks so much. Stay with us. We have much more on.
Normally, I'm not much of a Lou Dobbs guy, but that seemed like a pretty important story, and they seem to be sharing some information that is interesting, of value, and not seeming to get a lot of exposure today. So I wanted to be sure and point it out to you. Let's see. I am waiting for a phone caller. We have phone lines open. We have the telephone number right there on the screen. In case you can't see it, it's 805-669-6397. That's 805 Mox News. Okay, so and I have like one video left. Let's see, I have one video. I have two videos left. One is from France today about the inauguration and all the stuff that's happening, and blah blah blah. So in case we want an international perspective, I have that, and then I have a local news video about inauguration and blah, blah, blah. So I really would prefer to talk to you guys. We can talk about whatever you want. I'm thinking about doing the show tomorrow. I think about doing a show about what movie would you most like to see a sequel made of, right? What movie would you most like? Just keep it till tomorrow. Keep it till tomorrow. But, you know, I'm thinking about doing that for a subject tomorrow. Would you guys like that for a subject? You think that's a good subject for a show? What movie would you most like to see a sequel of? Because, you know, it's kind of steps back from all the garbage. You know, it's kind of like, we got all this political crap off of our chest, off of our shoulders. Let's take a minute and have a breath. Have a little laugh, shall we? No? All right. Mass quantities. That does sound pretty good. I do like the mass quantities. There are no doubt about that. There should be no doubt about that. You know what I've wanted for weeks and weeks and weeks is donuts. I haven't had any because I want good donuts. You know, I want to go to like a real donut store where they like, that's what they do, is they make donuts, you know. But I haven't found the right one just yet to go to. But boy, would I like to have a dozen donuts. All right. All right. I said save it, Keithy. Just wait until tomorrow. Okay. Well, I'll play another video for you about, and it's going to be, I'm going to go ahead and play a video. I'll play the France video because I'm going to cut it short when the interviewer comes out to start talking and explain everything to us. But where's that at? France 24, Biden sworn in. What the France news is calling the only story of the day. So I'll be right back. Well, it's just going to run for a few minutes. I'll be right back.
Joe Biden is taking the helm of a nation wrestling with political fissures. On top of that, his predecessor's handling of foreign policy has had a major impact on how the world sees the U.S. Relations between Washington and Beijing have reached a historic low. The Asian country on Wednesday dismissed allegations that it was committing genocide against Uyghurs. These claims are also shared by the incoming Secretary of State, Antony Blinken. China, however, hopes these tensions are temporary.
I hope China and the United States will be able to meet each other halfway in the spirit of mutual respect, equality and benefit to get our relationship back on a healthy track as soon as possible.
Biden is also against the clock to avert a new arms race. Russia, for its part, has been sending positive signals. The Kremlin on Wednesday announced that it remains committed to salvaging a landmark nuclear arms accord known as New START. That's due to expire in days. But there'll also be key challenges. Biden will be taking a tough line on Moscow on a host of issues, including human rights. Now back to the subject of disarmament. Iran has also called on the U.S. to return to the JCPOA, the 2015 nuclear deal, and lift sanctions imposed on Tehran by the Donald Trump administration. But time is running out. Tehran is facing its own elections in June, and that comes with a set of demands.
The ball is in America's court. If they return to their commitments, we will do the same. The Trump era is over. His political career has ended. But the JCPOA continues to live.
As for the European Union, the bloc's top diplomats saluted a new dawn, calling for a revival of the tattered transatlantic partnership. However, this will not be an easy feat. A long list of issues is waiting Biden's attention.
We should work on 5 priorities. First, boosting multilateral cooperation. Second, combating COVID-19. Third, tackling climate change. Fourth, rebuilding our economies, and fifth, joining forces on security and peace.
And so over the coming months, all eyes will be on the U.S. administration, one that has pledged to usher in a palpable shift in the country's approach to world affairs. But according to some observers, there are also concerns that Joe Biden could fall into stale patterns with global leaders such as Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin.
Okay, our business editor Kate Moody is here now. Hi, Kate.
Hi, James.
Now, tell us about some of President Biden's immediate priorities when it comes to the economy.
Well, there are a lot of them. He's in the White House now. He's going to be heading to the Oval Office soon to sign over a dozen executive orders. They're going to be targeting things like climate change, the pandemic, immigration, and economic aid for millions of Americans. Now, one of these orders is going to be extending a moratorium on foreclosures and evictions until the end of March. That's an emergency provision that was brought in at the beginning of the pandemic, but which was on the verge of expiring. Another order will be extending a pause on repayments of federal student debt until the end of September. Another measure that was due to expire at the end of this month. And again, the speed with which he's getting to these issues, James, just shows the real dire straits that millions and millions of Americans have found themselves in as a direct result of the coronavirus pandemic.
Right, a real sense of urgency. Now, next will be the coronavirus relief and stimulus plan, also highly urgent in the minds of many, not least of all, I imagine, Joe Biden. Take us through the main points in that.
Well, $1.9 trillion is the huge sum that he outlined last week. Even with a slim Democratic majority in both houses of Congress, this is really only a starting point for negotiations. Some of the elements might go through quickly, including that first issue of more stimulus payments, $1,400 more in addition to the $600 that were approved back in December. Again, this is one of the headline issues, but one that will really only have a fairly short-term impact on the economy. Those who are unemployed will see more generous unemployment benefits, an additional $400 per week through the month of September. There will be more money to help schools reopen, fund vaccine distribution across the country, support local governments. And the most controversial proposal outlined in Joe Biden's stimulus package is one that would have the most long-term effect. It would double the U.S. federal minimum wage to $15 per hour. That's a move that would really help frontline workers in particular during the pandemic. Now, one economist that I've been speaking to earlier today, James, said that this U.S.
All right. So anyways, I thought she's interesting, and I don't mean to cut her off, but, again, we're looking for some phone callers. We're not getting any, but we're still looking. I have one video left. I have to go to the store. I'm about out of food. So if you want to call, now is the time to do it. If you have anything to say about the inauguration, if you, I'm wondering, do you think it's a good idea to do a title like tomorrow we'll do like a question of the day title, and the question will be, what movie would you most like to see a sequel of, that's never been made, right? I'm just wondering if you think that that's a good thing to do a show about. Or at least a question of the day. We can do, it's not like we won't do some news clips, probably. There'll probably be a news clip or two to do. But other than that, we're waiting for a phone call. If you want to call, the number is 805-669-6397. I'm going to give you guys another minute. I'm going to play another video clip, and that'll give you guys another minute to call in. Otherwise, I got to go to the store and get some groceries. I am out of groceries. And if anybody wants to help out with that, it's easy to do at moxnews.com. Mox News survives solely on contributions from good people like you. And the contributions have been extremely slow. I want to thank Daniel for kicking down on the Patreon to be a new Patreon subscriber for $4 a month. Thanks a bunch, Daniel. And again, if there's the links in the chat, or there's clickable links in the text body of the video, or you can go to moxnews.com. And it's always nice when somebody gives something back. So again, I'm gonna play a video for it because we don't have phone callers, and that's what this show is really about, is the phone callers. So I'm going to play a video for you, and if you want to call, the numbers are on the screen. Otherwise, we are going to be out of here after this one. Where's my fucking video? Let's see. That one? Oh, I want to play this one for you. Okay, this one is cops. I was talking about this earlier, that the more Seattle cops, actually I wasn't talking about the video so much as I was telling Chris that I had a video earlier saying that he was talking about agent provocateurs, and I was saying 3 more Seattle police officers have identified themselves to point out that and to let their police department know, the Seattle Police Department know, that they participated in the protest, or they were in the Washington, D.C. area when the protests were going on. So again, you see all these police and all these military people, and you wonder about agent provocateurs for sure. There can be no doubt about that. So I thought that was interesting. I'll play that for you, and then I have one more video after that. But please call so we can have a little talk about it. That'd be cool.
More Seattle police officers are now admitting to being in Washington, D.C. on the same day that protesters stormed into the U.S. Capitol. 3 additional officers came forward on their own this week.
That's in addition to the 2 officers already under investigation. KOMO's Matt Markovich is live with more on that investigation. Matt?
Yeah, if there's evidence that these officers were involved in the insurrection, the chief says they'll be fired. But if they were just there for their First Amendment rights to protest what they believe in, the director of Office of Police Accountability says they should not be fired.
On its face, the insurrection was disturbing. Anyone who ventured into the Capitol broke the law.
Did they self-report to you directly?
One officer self-reported to their chain of command. The other officer reported directly to OPA.
Now 5 officers, 3 this week, and the 2 that 10 days ago did not self-report, have admitted to being at the protest and are now being investigated by the Office of Police Accountability. The latest 3 that self-reported?
All 3 of them have denied engaging in any illegal activity. They've said that they were present in D.C. on the 6th at the demonstration, but they did not violate law or cross barricades or go into the Capitol building.
The original 2, where does that sit right now? Have you spoken with those officers?
We haven't yet. We're still kind of assessing the facts. We wanted to look at some video and to see what we could identify first before bringing the officers in.
Chief Diaz saying today, if OPA finds any evidence any officers were directly involved in the insurgents, they will be fired.
Where is your line? Is it literally the property of the Capitol? If they walk onto the Capitol grounds, that's a violation?
Yeah, I think if they engage in property damage, if they were across the barricade that they were directed not to cross by a law enforcement officer, if they entered the Capitol building, I think all of those would be violations, some of the law, some of our policies.
None of the officers have been interviewed by OPA, which can only make suggestions on their discipline, if any. The line for Chief Diaz was very clear, saying we cannot violate the same laws we are sworn to protect.
Now, since the latest 3 officers were at D.C. and self-reported, the chief has allowed them to continue on the job. As for the other 2 officers who did not self-report and were identified through photographs by co-workers, they've been suspended with pay. Live in Seattle, Matt Markovich, KOMO News.
Matt, thank you.
Okay. Still no phone callers. I thought that was very interesting, and I thought it was again, it went right along with Chris' phone call where he was talking about, Chris from Olympia was talking about agent provocateurs amongst the ranks of the protesters. I think he was maybe talking about the protest that was live in downtown Seattle when we started the show. There was an anti-Joe Biden protest. I really think it was an abolish ICE protest is what it was primarily, but they also said there was anti-Joe Biden, anti-Trump, anti-everything. They said they made a big deal about the graffiti that was said abolish everything. And that's at the beginning of the show. That video, in case you missed it, I thought it was pretty interesting. And I wanted to share that with you. But again, Chris was talking about agent provocateurs, and again, when we see all the police and all the military personnel that seem to be at this protest in the Capitol, the U.S. Capitol, it's hard to believe that there were not agent provocateurs all amongst those protesters. In my opinion, in my humble, limited opinion. And now that we do not have any more phone callers still, and I only have one video left, I'm going to play that video for you now. And if we don't have any phone callers, we will be out of here because I got to go grocery shopping. So I'll play that for you now. Here we go.
You're watching KOMO News.
That I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States.
Office of President of the United States.
Will help you God.
And with that, Joe Biden officially becomes the 46th President of the United States of America, and Kamala Harris now the first woman to be sworn in as Vice President. The Bidens are now at home as the newest occupants of the White House. And this is a live look at the White House as Biden takes the reins to lead the United States. Things looking completely different this year with a fortified Capitol, thousands of National Guard's troops. Many events changed or canceled due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic.
In his inaugural address, President Biden acknowledged extraordinary challenges that face the nation and his presidency, and he praised Americans for their resiliency.
To overcome these challenges, to restore the soul and secure the future of America requires so much more than words. It requires the most elusive of all things in a democracy, unity.
In what he called his very first act as president, President Biden led a moment of silence for the more than 400,000 Americans who have died of COVID-19.
While former President Trump was not there to greet the Bidens or attend the inauguration ceremony, outgoing Vice President Mike Pence, as you can see here, was. He and former Second Lady Karen Pence were walked to their seats by Vice President Kamala Harris following the ceremony. They could be seen here along with the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, sharing some parting words and a quick laugh together. Also in attendance today, former Presidents Barack Obama, George Bush, and Bill Clinton. The three were announced prior to the arrival of both Biden and Harris. They also joined the new president and vice president at this wreath-laying ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery.
It's just been a matter of hours since Biden and Harris were sworn in, but already work is underway. Vice President Harris made her way to the White House and then onto the Senate, where she was greeted with applause. As VP, Harris is also president of the Senate. She swore in 3 Democratic senators today, including Jon Ossoff and Reverend Raphael Warnock of Georgia. Those two just won their runoffs in the state 2 weeks ago. Harris also swore in Alex Padilla, former Secretary of State of California, who has now been appointed to Harris's former seat in the Senate. In his first tweet from the POTUS Twitter account, President Biden tweeted, quote, "There is no time to waste when it comes to tackling the crises we face. That's why today I am heading to the Oval Office to get right to work delivering bold action and immediate relief for American families."
Of course, there are some major challenges ahead for Biden's presidency, including COVID-19 crisis. The Biden-Harris administration says they're ready to take swift action to stamp out the virus and improve a hard-hit economy. In recent days, Harris had this to say.
We do believe with hard work and with the cooperation and collaboration of the members of the United States Congress that we can get it done.
A live look at the U.S. Capitol right now, where President Biden made a stop in the president's room to sign 3 documents: the Inauguration Day proclamation and nominations to cabinet and sub-cabinet positions. President Biden has promised to get quite a bit done in his first 100 days in office, including setting up 100 federally supported centers across the U.S. that will vaccinate millions of people. That's part of his pledge to fix the slower than expected rollout of COVID-19 vaccines and get 100 million vaccines
vaccines administered within those first 100 days.
And in order to do that, the Biden-Harris administration hitting the ground running their first day in office, including signing more than a dozen executive orders, such as ordering a mask mandate on federal properties. They're also reversing some of the Trump administration's orders, including rejoining the Paris Climate Accord and halting the departure from the World Health Organization. President Biden also expected to undo some of Trump's crackdowns on immigration, in addition to halting funding for the border wall.
With a majority in both the House and the Senate, legislation favored by the Biden-Harris administration could see a smoother road to becoming law. We'll break down how President Biden plans to help families struggle.
Okay, so let's see. I have one more thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about. When I saw the geese, it reminded me. It's down here at the bottom. I wrote it down at the bottom before we started the show. UPS driver at Arby's, right? UPS driver at Arby's. See that down there? Okay, so yesterday we went on the longest walk that we've been on, me and the Boo Bears. Went on the longest walk that we've been on since I got out of the hospital. And we walked by a little lake, a little local lake that's kind of a bunch of houses surround it. And as we were walking through the park that surrounds the lake, a huge bunch of geese just like took to the air, right? So there's like maybe 40 geese on the grass, something like that. And they just like, as we're walking by, they just decided, dogs, it's not safe, we gotta go. And like 40, and it was like this really loud sound. I was like, whoa. So again, I guess I share these things with you guys so that you don't think that I'm somehow focused on this negative bullshit that the news is never-endingly telling us. You know, I'm really not focused on that at all. I'm just making sure that we're all on the same page so that we can have a discussion about things that might be important to us. But again, we're walking. We did this the longest walk we've done since for quite some time, and we stopped at the Home Depot and we went shopping at the Home Depot and we got some garden supplies, and then we were headed home, me and the Boo Bears, and we're walking up the hill to the house, and there's this giant UPS truck. You know, when you like order a refrigerator or something really big from Costco, and they have to have the big UPS truck come out. There's like a giant UPS truck, and it was pulling out of the Arby's parking lot, right? And again, I talk about the UPS driver in my neighborhood all the time, who's a great guy. He stops and gives me hugs as he's driving by, you know, and he's never wearing a mask and shit. And he's just the nicest guy. But this guy I've never seen before, and he's driving this big giant truck for UPS, and he just pulled out of the Arby's parking lot, right? And we're walking by, and I can see, you know, he's checking me out. I'm like making eye contact with him. I'm like, hey man, how's it going? And he's looking at me, and he's looking at the dogs, and we get like 2 or 3 steps past the cab of his truck, right? And he's like, he honks the horn, and I look back and I see him in the rearview mirror, and I like wave, and he's like, and he honks the horn again, and I walk back to his cab, and he rolls down his window, and he's like, hey, you guys want a couple Arby's sandwiches? I'm like, we're good, dude. Thank you very much. It was very nice of you, you know. And I couldn't believe that this guy that we didn't ever meet before, and all we ever did was, you know, give him a smile and a wave, wants to share his lunch with us. You know, I thought that was really super nice. And that's the life that I lead. So it's not that you know, I'm poor and I don't have anything. It's that I have people, you know, that make my life wonderful all the time. You know, it's just little stuff like that, you know, I didn't need a sandwich, but, you know, just him wanting to share it with me, because I always talk about sharing food. Sharing food is this thing that humans do that's like, in my opinion, one of the best things that humans do. One of the most important things that humans do is sitting down and all kind of sharing a meal together. It's a really, really, those of you who have a family and did it at one time and no longer share meals probably have this empty space inside of you trying to, wish that you don't even know why. That's probably it. So, again, I thought that was really cool, and yeah. I thought I would just share that with you guys because, again, that's the life. The UPS driver that's our neighborhood driver, he stops the truck all the time when he's driving by and gives us a hug. And, the other day, he's like, hey, man, how's it going? Because, I told him about having to go to the hospital and stuff. And he's like, how's it going? I'm really worried about this. I told him, we're doing fine, and I really feel like I'm not as worried as I was, and he said, I'm so glad to hear that, and he's driving away, he's like, I love you, brother, I mean, it's the UPS guy. He brings me chocolates on Christmas, right? You know how people give their UPS, their postman cookies or whatever. He brings me he goes to Hawaii, right? He'd been trying to get to Hawaii since February, but because of the COVID, it's impossible to get anywhere. He goes to Hawaii on vacation to visit his brother, and while he's there, he thinks of me and buys chocolates and then brings them to me when he gets back. That's the kind of life that I have. So, and I'm pretty sure, Wilco, the UPS driver that delivers to our home every day doesn't think that I'm homeless. That's not why he wants to bring me chocolates from Hawaii. So okay, I'm going to go to the grocery store. There are no phone callers. I have given you guys plenty of chances. I'm going to go to the grocery store and get some groceries. Thanks so much for tuning in. We do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we'll be back tomorrow, same Mox time, same Mox channel, and I'm thinking about doing like a show about, what movie, I don't know if we should do this or not, because I'm not getting proper feedback, but, what movie is it that you'd like to see, that you'd most like to see a sequel of that they never made? Don't tell me now. Okay, I'll tell you mine tomorrow, first thing tomorrow. Okay, let's see, on Friday, I want to try and give all of our viewers $10,000. So I don't know that I'll be able to, but I'm gonna try. I'm not gonna tell you how right now. But I'll tell you how on Friday, first thing, and we'll see if we can make it happen so that all of our viewers, all of our live viewers that comment in the comment section, $10,000. Okay? So I'm not going to tell you how right now, because then everybody's going to do the show before we come back on Friday to do the show. They're going to be like, oh yeah, we did this cool thing. Yeah, that was my idea. Fuck you. But $10,000 to everybody who comments in the comment section on Friday. Hopefully, not for sure, but we're going to try and do it. We'll see if we can make it happen. All right, no phone callers. I gave you plenty of chances. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow. Same Mox time, same Mox channel. Until then, stay cool, because one of these days, this war is going to end. Stay cool till then.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. MoxNews.com.